Attention, everybody. This is Xbox Ultimate Podcast, episode number 187, Murder, Death, Kill. Yeah, that's what I just saw, 187. Shout out to the movie Demolition Man, where that has been ingrained in my brain forever. But yeah, this is going to be a fun show. This is, we got a pretty much confirmation of a spoiled game that's going to be at the Xbox Showcase. So thanks to all the insiders that have told us that. I don't really personally care that it was spoiled, but I am excited for it, and we're going to talk about this very special game. And I know that there's a lot of attention on this game for a different reason as well. We'll talk about that too. But I want to thank everybody for being here for Xbox Ultimate Podcast, and I hope you all have an amazing day tonight or today, and have an amazing weekend coming up. But yeah, we're gonna have some fun tonight, bro. We're going 3 deep again. Bob's doing his thing with the comedy shows. Psycho's on his quarterly Dave Matthews bender.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
Yeah, he's on vacation right now. He took all his vacation time and to go see Dave again. The only concert I think he ever goes to is to see Dave Matthews Band, which is amazing, right? But yeah.
Plus his brother got off.
That was amazing to hear, though.
Go meet him there for Dave Matthews too. His brother's in the military, for anybody who doesn't know, and he actually got leave to go to the Dave Matthews Band with Psycho. So hopefully don't get any trouble.
Yeah, he's gonna end up in the brig.
Yeah.
But
it is pretty damn cool.
It is. And he didn't know either, so he was surprised. So it's absolutely awesome. So shout out to Jasper, who's doing his thing right now. Shout out to Psycho, who's on his quarterly bender of Dave Matthews Band. Shout out to Bob, who's doing his comedy shows, and shout out to 3-Bit, who's about to get married and is probably moving again this weekend without us telling anybody.
Jesus Christ.
So yeah, we're a little short-handed for Xbox Ultimate, but it's okay. We rock it, and I hope you all absolutely enjoy the show. How you doing, Fuzz? What's up, man? You're on mute, bro.
Oh, sorry.
It's all right.
I'm doing great. Glad to be here with you guys. Been playing, the usual suspects as far as GT7 and Forza Horizon 5, but also playing a bit of Hellblade. Wrapped up all the collectibles on the first one and finished the second one. I guess that was Tuesday launch night or something like that. So pretty happy with that. Pretty sure we'll get into that as well. But looking forward to the showcase coming up here next month. Well, in like the next 2 weeks.
Is there a cloud over your head for the showcase, or no clouds?
Okay. Nah, I think about the only thing is trying to figure out if I should have popcorn or just regular snacks like pretzels, candy, things like that, because I'm going to have fun either way. Pretty sure, well, the one thing that's spoiled, but I'm pretty sure we'll see some other nice surprises. So I'm looking forward to it. Yeah,
for sure, man. Like we already these insiders have been teasing this show early this year, for earlier on with Tom Warren with the Gears stuff, and now the Insider Gaming with Doom. It's been an interesting year for that, because a lot of times we go into the show, we don't hardly know anything.
To be fair, Tom Warren had the Doom too. He just didn't know the name of it, so Insider Gaming had it. But yeah. I mean, it's such a big show, right, Matt? So I mean, it's not like, I don't know why people are upset. Like they're acting like the 1/5 of the show just got released. Like, it's not even close. Okay, again, go listen to us about what we've been talking about. There's going to be at least, I'm thinking 40 plus games. So, and again, that's realistic with everything. So having one of those release like that, or, leak like that, it's going to happen in the lead up, especially with as big a show as this is. And because it has been quiet for so many freaking years, everybody knew something was coming.
There's a good chance. There's such a good chance for so many different games at this show. Like we kind of proved that last night with our discussion, and then also on the Mavcast that I did the other night. Like we're going through and looking at all these potential games and stuff, dude. But other than that, how you doing, Pong? What's up, man?
Doing all right, man. First of all, 3 Deep was one of the best wide receiver corps ever in the NFL, by the way. Randy Moss, Jake Reed, and of course, Chris Carter. So
the sideline specialist, man.
Bro, those were the years, man. 98 was special. Anyways, Doing all right, man. Doing all right. I'm just happy to be back on the Fun Speculation Network so we can spread some more condo. That is what this is all about. We are spreading more condo to the community. It is condo time. So enjoy all the condo that we're giving you right now. Other than that, personal note, thank you all. Mav sent me some of the comments. I don't read YouTube comments, just so you guys know. I never get into that energy. But Mav sends them to me, especially when they're really good ones. And a lot of people dropped comments after last night's show with well wishes for our doggo. And I appreciate that so much. It really means a lot. Good news is that we are probably 80 to 90% sure. We did some research today that it is vestibular disease. Which is common in older dogs, and it basically there's nothing you can do, but it's not fatal. It affects their inner ear, and it just causes them to randomly. One day they could just wake up with it, and all of a sudden they can't keep their balance. Their eyes do the side to side thing, which she had. That's why she was having problems. She was standing wide legged, which is another symptom. Trying to keep her balance. Her head's tilted, which they said that's another indicator. She has a problem eating with her head down now. But they said normally it's the worst for like the first couple 2-3 days, and then it can actually the symptoms will dissipate over a week or two. So we're crossing our fingers. That's what it is. So, but no, thank you all for the well wishes and everything. We're obviously paying very close attention to her right now. Other than that, man, I had a day off. Fucking crazy, man. I had a day off. Insane, bro. I had a lot of stuff to get done. But I did hop back into some more Hellblade 2. We talked about it last night. I am reserving myself to the fact that I'm probably going to have to try to finish this game without headphones. That's going to be the only way I think I even have a chance at doing it. It is way too intense. And I took out the headphones today and just had it on the TV, and I had a better time with it. So I think that's the way I'm going to try to finish this game. I'm moving slowly. Again, I'm in photo mode constantly. So that's part of it. But enjoying the hell out of it. Got through a major part that I had heard other people talk about today. I think I'm in like 3rd chapter, maybe 4th chapter. And it really it was fantastic. It was absolutely beautiful. Just great battle, great combat. Again, I was like, yo, this is freaking awesome. I was having an awesome, and then of course stopping and doing photos every other two seconds. But amazing. So I was doing that, and then I just after I had to take a break from that again, no matter what, even without the headphones, I wound up going back to Ghost of Tsushima, and I am becoming a fucking ghost for real, right? Pun intended. I am building up my skills. Of course, because open world, I'm not mainlining this. I'm going around doing like every little side mission. Anybody I come across is getting smoked. It is just straight up like I'm just doing it my way. I'm completing the map, like I'm filling in all the blank spaces as I go. I'm doing everything like I normally do in open world. Again, the game is beautiful. The game is gorgeous. They did a great job with the PC. I did have one crash today. It's my first crash I've had in about 18 hours, 20 hours of gameplay. Did have my first crash, but that was the only time it's ever done that. But otherwise, just freaking loving that game. Love the atmosphere, man. We are in samurai and ninja heaven right now, man. So that's the best part about that game is you are a samurai. So it's a little strange that they allow you. Obviously, the situation dictates that you probably would do this even if you're a samurai. But I love the fact that they do allow you to go complete stealth if you want to in this game or close to it as you build up your skills. And let me tell you, I'm using you get different weapons for anybody who hasn't played it. You obviously open up different weapons, side weapons. So one of them is smoke bombs. I've never been a big smoke bomb guy in video games, but this one is so damn effective because I started powering it up that it stuns them, and then you can assassinate them in the smoke. I'm like, oh, okay, well, we're on. Well, I just run in the middle of a group of them, drop a smoke bomb, and I got 3 of them down before they can even fucking get unstunned. I love that shit. I was having so much fun today. Got my bow powered up. Taking down bears. Bears are a pain in the butt in that game too. So, anyways, as you guys can tell, I'm in gamer heaven. I'm just having a great old freaking time. I'm excited. We're in showcase season. We got rumors dropping. I'm here with the brothers. We're spreading condo. Doesn't get any better than this, everybody. Let's go. Let's go, man.
Here's some condo, motherfuckers. All right. Yeah, we're having some fun in the DMs talking about some of this stuff too lately. Like we're all kind of excited. When there's these rumors and stuff that like there's a lot of negativity going around, we don't really even partake in that stuff in the DMs. We kind of just roll our eyes a lot of times, to be honest with you, about a lot of this stuff. But like today there was some interesting news, and like Insider Gaming, I think, was the first one today that came out with it, and then there was a couple others that followed up, and then finally Jez followed up on it as well, that there is a Doom game coming. And we already kind of had been hinted at that several different times. We all kind of expected it just because it's time. It was part of the FTC leaks when it was called Doom Year Zero. So we're speculating on, is that the actual name? Is it going to, when is this game going to actually drop? When's it going to be announced? And we thought it was going to be announced this year, and we thought it was probably called Doom Year Zero, but we didn't really know what that meant. It turns out that it's actually called Doom the Dark Ages, supposedly. Now, this is still technically a rumor, even though you have multiple insiders in the gaming industry and media that have knowledge of this actually putting their 100% confirmations behind this rumor. So I think for the most part, we can kind of throw most of the salt away and say that it is probably true, right? Doom the Dark Ages would be the game that is set to be announced at the Xbox show. And the other part of this rumor is that everybody is saying that this game is going to be everywhere, or multi-platform, at least on PlayStation, PC, Xbox, PlayStation. I don't know if anybody mentioned the Nintendo. I know that Doom Eternal eventually came out on the Switch, but I don't think this game would be something that they would do that with. Switch 2 probably, right?
Yeah, Switch 2.
So, yes. The interesting thing is that's kind of overshadowed the fact that we're getting this like medieval style, like Dark Ages Doom game, which for me sounds pretty fucking awesome. A lot of people are saying, "Oh, I hope they don't take away the guns." I kind of have a feeling like we're still gonna have guns. It's Doom, right? But I'm thinking would they replace the chainsaw with a sword? You know, a good old great sword, or different stuff like that. Because of the setting, which might disappoint Pong, I could anticipate more platforming in this Doom game. I think it would fit with castles and stuff like that kind of well. But I'm really looking forward to potentially to see what kind of game this looks like and what it does. Because it's been a little while. It's been a few years since Doom Eternal came out. And this is their first game under the Xbox umbrella. Some are upset saying they're giving it away to everybody and stuff, and there's that cloud hanging over the showcase, still swirling around for lots of people. But I will say this as well, and I'm going to get curious to get y'all's thoughts on this, is that, I don't know, I remember when ZeniMax Bethesda got acquired and they were using language to talk about games being exclusive and which games were not going to be exclusive, and they used certain language talking about legacy titles are still going to be other places, and we were all trying to speculate what that meant, and one of the games we're always just kind of questioning, not knowing 100% what they were going to do, was Doom, because the Doom franchise has been other places for so long now. So for me, it's not that crazy that Doom goes other places. I understand the want for Xbox fans to want big name exclusives like that and have Doom for ourselves because Xbox acquired it. But at the same time, it's really not going to be any different for any release of Doom that we've ever been excited for before, except for one major factor. And that's we get it day one in Game Pass. So when I'm watching this showcase and I'm seeing this Doom game, I'm going to be really fucking excited for that reason alone. But besides that, I understand, there's a cloud. It's cloud. It's dark. It's a dark cloud. Anyway, Fuzzy, how do you feel about hearing about this game, the Doom, the Dark Ages? Like, is that a setting that you get excited about for Doom?
Yeah, I want to see if it is going to be something that leans more into like the medieval type of weaponry, like a mace and sword and things along those lines, or we're still going to have flamethrowers and whatnot. Like, I'm assuming we're going to have a mixture of both. But like you said, the big thing for me, I've kind of given up on the whole, exclusives thing at this point. As long as it goes day one in Game Pass, I'm still subscribed, still have it until mid-year or middle of 2027. So I'm good for a bit. So yeah, as long as it comes to Game Pass day one, Yeah, no problem. Which obviously it's going to do. If it comes over to PlayStation, kudos to those guys. Consider themselves lucky that they don't have to necessarily wait a year or whatever for a timed exclusive or something like that. But yeah, I'm pretty sure that's going to be one of those on the short list of surprise games that we didn't really know about, but we kind of thought about or kind of heard about, but gets announced beforehand. But I'm pretty sure we're still going to see a good bit of stuff that was never mentioned as a project, was never mentioned as a studio or team working on it and stuff like that. But yeah, a medieval Doom. Yeah, I could get into that. Didn't we have something like that come to Game Pass where it was like a not the Hellraiser one? There was another one that was like a copy of Doom, but it was more of like an 8-bit type of thing.
There was Metal Hellsinger or something like that, which was like a rhythm-based Doom kind of game. That seemed, I think, from what I remember, I think it was kind of set in that. Then you had the Bolt Gun Warhammer game, which is kind of like that, which is also fucking awesome. There's been so many of these kind of games come out recently, and they're always really fun. But like Doom kind of really sets the standard there, and anytime it comes out for the genre, and it's the only game I've seen be able to kind of capture the magic of the old school style and bring it to a new light, instead of just go full retro, because it feels like it feels like the old games kind of, but faster paced, amazing looking, super smooth graphics, and I don't know how they pulled it off, but it gives you that retro nostalgia feel with it being fucking fresh, So I'm excited for this, bro. What about you, Pong? Doom: The Dark Ages.
Well, here, let me give you a little extra. I saw this tweet today from American McGee. Anybody who doesn't know, American McGee is a developer. He did Alice Madness Returns, which most people are aware of. He lives in China. He now tweets out a bunch of Chinese propaganda that China's just fine and everything's great because he's got a family there and all that kind of stuff. So shout out to American McGee. But he's a decent dude, and he's on X all the time, right? So he made a post today, which was kind of interesting because he used to work for id, for anybody who doesn't know. And he said, after being fired from id Software, I was hired to work on a project with Michael Crichton. For anybody who doesn't know, Michael Crichton, famous author, big in the 80s, 90s, early 90s. Michael Crichton did a whole lot of stuff. And he that eventually came to be known as Timeline. He had a book that was called Timeline, and they actually made a game in 2000 based upon that. And he goes, for those unaware, the story revolved around a group of scientists who discover the method of time travel and ventures to the 14th century France. And I was brought on board the project to help bring this story to life with action inside a 3D engine, basically Doom in the medieval period. So it'd be really weird for me if the new Doom game follows that path 25 years later. History doesn't repeat, but it does often rhyme. So just a little interesting side note there from somebody who worked at id. I think it's cool. Obviously the setting is great. I've made it known. All right, Doom, I love the old Dooms. Okay, the old Dooms I rocked all the damn time, of course. Wolfensteins and all of them. I rocked all that stuff obviously back in the day. Doom Eternal was way too platformy for me. I don't do platformers, you guys all know that. Way too much platforming. I mean, it was a beautiful game, smooth as butter. The combat, obviously the guns, it's one of the best at what they do. That thing was smoking, but for me, too much platforming. Now a lot of people loved it. A lot of the people loved the challenge of the platforming, along with the just intense, unbelievable quick twitch action that obviously they bring with Doom. So if they pull back a little bit on the platforming, all the better. I mean, again, this is going to be in Game Pass, like you said, Mav. That's all that matters. Like we've been saying about the showcase, don't give a shit. It's coming to Game Pass. I'll be there day one. I will download it. I will certainly try it because obviously you put Doom guy in the medieval ages with sorts of fantastical shit. I mean, kind of Phil's kind of getting his Hexen with this. Right?
Yeah.
He's kind of getting his Hexen in a way. Now, Hexen was a little bit different because they had, a few classes that you could choose from. And obviously it was more really just a high fantasy Doom game the high fantasy Doom game altogether. But putting Doom guy back then, causing chaos with demons and whatever else hell is going to be appearing, of course I'm going to download it. Of course I'm going to try it, and I'll probably have a lot of fun with it. If it's got the same amount of platforming or more than Eternal, I won't stick with it, but I love the idea. I think it's cool as hell. Again, this is id. So I know some people might be like, oh, I don't know about going back, to the old times with Doom guy. That's not quite the Doom I look forward to. Listen, id's going to bring it. And they're going to bring the demons. They're going to bring it all to that. It's just going to happen to be, you're so happen to be fighting in castles in medieval times or whatever the hell else they're going to have you doing.
With hard rock music, yes.
Yeah, with hard rock music, whatever else. It's still going to be id. It's still going to be Doom. It's going to be crazy. It's going to be fun. And we know it's probably going to be one of the best looking games and best performing games to launch. Like, we just know that. Like, that's what they do. I said it before when we first started talking about this rumor. I can't wait to see their updates to id Tech.
Yeah,
boy, oh boy, especially if it's current gen only.
When we were watching back the Bethesda roundtable after they had shut down a couple of those studios, like I was watching it back, but something that caught my attention when we're watching that is the excitement level that they all had talking about id Tech, and that they were really excited to see what can be done. And how the engineers there and everything are gonna help with things and stuff. So overall, that's a good thought, man, because this is gonna be the first time we really see that. Yes. And the other question, did the insiders mention today if it was like current gen only, or
I didn't hear any of that. I didn't hear any of that. Not that I noticed.
It'd be interesting to see it, like, because Doom is. People say like Doom can run on anything, because like it's just so well optimized in the past, right? But this next one, like, how much are they going to advance things forward and stuff like that? But like, you can play Doom Eternal right now, and it looks just as good as anything out there. It runs as smooth as anything out there. Another thing is optimized out the ass, just absolutely crazy optimized when they release these games. It's wizards, right? You put them with their own engine with id Tech. They're up there with any other developer working on their own tech as far as quality, optimization, and just putting out fucking awesome games and gameplay. So I really can't wait to see what this game looks like. I'm excited about the setting, right? Because Doom Year Zero, we're trying to think what could that mean and all these other kind of things. But I think maybe it was a working title or kind of a project name probably. But now Doom the Dark Ages makes a lot of sense. You can just imagine the setting. It just fits right in with Doom, like castles and fucking heavy metal, bro. Swords, like Fuzzy said, you could put some like flails and like maces and shit and stuff like that in there. And like, just let's go. Guillotines, just why not have like a random guillotine, be able to kick a guy into a guillotine. Let's go.
And he's still gonna have his guns. There's no question about it.
Yeah,
they're not gonna give him melee weapons and freaking a crossbow. Okay, they're not gonna do that to Doom guy. He's gonna get his weapons. You might have to look for him, might have to find him. They might make that a little fun game. But I think you're definitely gonna get that. And people are making a good point in the chat too. This will be a 2025 game, and if that's the case, I can't see it being on last gen. I can't. I gotta imagine that they're gonna start. Current gen. I mean, they've already pushed. We just found out today too. I don't know if we're going to talk about Call of Duty's probably cross gen again, which is weird. They've never gone this many Call of Duties before, supporting the last gen. A lot of people are disappointed in that, and rightfully so. So am I. But it is what it is. They got to make their money, and they still see all those people over there on PS4s and Xbox Ones, and they're not going to give it up. But they have to, because those people won't move until you guys stop making games for it. So again, I guess we're going to wait until GTA 6 to move everybody. But be that as may, back to Doom. Yeah, I think it's really cool. I have the utmost faith in id. I just don't want to see as much platforming, but obviously, like you said, Matt, potentially there's probably going to be the same, if not even more.
I could just see it with the castles. You probably have like the lava pits in the middle between castles and stuff. You guys to jump on platforms to get between them. You have you probably like a flail weapon that turns into a whip or something that you can like
something. Yeah, good idea. Good idea, by the way.
Yeah, it should work for id.
You should. Hey, attention, ladies and gentlemen. Attention, ladies and gentlemen. We interrupt our normal programming because we need you to all pay attention to those monitors above your heads because the Lotus Esprit just made an appearance. That's right. He doesn't fly, he drives because he's a Lotus Esprit. And he drove on by and he dropped a couple bags of coal off at the front of the train for me and Mav and Fuzzy, and we're shoveling away, and that furnace is burning hotter. We started in a Mach 2.0, but we are now at a nice, easy Mach 3.0. So please go ahead and fasten those 4-point harnesses down again, tighten them up, because we're getting up there already. Let's go, everybody. And of course, welcome aboard all the new speculators. 2 new carfuls because of Lotus Esprit. Easy 10 dunk. Choo-choo, motherfuckers. Choo-choo. And your goal, if you guys weren't around for PM to PM, your goal for the month of May, you only got about a week left, folks. About 3,680 to go.
I like how it's like glance off to the screen like there's something actually there.
There is. I was tallying over there. So anyways, keep it going. Keep us ad free in 2024. Appreciate you, Lotus Esprit. Choo-choo, motherfuckers. Thank you all.
Yeah. For everybody, you're absolutely amazing. Lotus, dude, appreciate the support for the show and everything we do. Man, what about this cloud? Is this a surprise to you, first off, that Doom is potentially going to PlayStation? No. What about you, Buzz? No? This is like huge news today.
No.
That's what everybody's talking about.
We talked about it.
Y'all are giving it the proper energy. I'm just like,
like I don't. We criticized the strategy when it first happened. Just like I know, because we criticized the strategy when it first came out. Because again, if I was Phil, I would not be doing this. I'll say this for the 1,000th time.
Yeah,
I have to every time because people just don't want to hear it. I would not personally do it this way. I would be all exclusive and go for the gold. Okay, especially after ABK, I would see what happens before I ever made that choice. But that is now done. The fact is that the 4 games were just the start. Okay. And if they were ever considering Doom to be exclusive back when they still had an idea that they were going to go ahead and hold some of those Bethesda games back to be console exclusive, to grow, Game Pass specifically on the Xbox, that now is pretty much off the table. They are going to be legitimately case by case. As they said from the get-go, this is an established IP with a big fan base that is on PlayStation. Hey, they're going to do this stuff, and there's going to be more first-party games that go. I don't know why everybody wants. I understand why people are upset because, again, the competitor in me hates this. Okay, the competitor in me, the old school guy who's been around video games for a long time, hates this. I'd rather go toe-to-toe with PlayStation 1 for 1. But that's not the shape of the industry. That's not where, especially from Xbox's side, and PlayStation seems to slowly but surely be moving in that direction as well. So I don't know why people in this community, I think this is when we get into the point after everything that has happened. Now we are at this point. If you are absolutely mind-boggled or frustrated or upset or shocked that Doom is going, or potentially, again, no official announcements, but it is going to be potentially multi-plat, I can't help you guys anymore. I let out my frustrations. I said my frustrations. I gave my criticisms of the strategy. Don't like it. But at the end of the day, they aren't reversing. Okay, they're not going back. This is the start of their evolution. So, yes, coming into every showcase, as we've talked about, Mav, multiple times, coming into every showcase now, every show, there's going to be all the people out there, including the Clown Show and everybody else going, yeah, which games are going to PlayStation 5? Oh, I bet you a lot of them are going to PlayStation 5. Get used to it. It's just a matter of fact. Again, that's why Mav and I said again, I'm at the point, Mav's obviously at the point, I think Fuzzy for the most part is at the point too. Don't give a shit. I'm not going to have a cloud over the showcase thinking about that stuff because all I know is I'm on the Xbox ecosystem and they're all coming to Game Pass because they've tripled down on that. So if you're going to listen to them and let them, they told you guys what they're doing, listen to the other part too. They tripled down. Every first party game's coming to Game Pass. That's all I fucking care about right now. It's still the best value in gaming. It is the best deal for me as a gamer. I love it, and I'm riding it until the wheels fall off. Okay? Period, point blank. But this should not come as a surprise that they are going to put Doom everywhere. Doom is already established. And they talked about that. So if you want to go all the way back and take it literally, it's an established IP elsewhere. It really is.
That's the thing for me is like when we, even before ABK, before this other things, right? Or after ZeniMax Bethesda and all these other kind of things, there was still like a lot of us were 50-50 off if Doom was going to be exclusive or not. And since we've seen what they're doing now with other games going there, remember they said like, a lot of us were assuming this, and this is kind of where a lot of the community had settled on, that new IP was going to be exclusive, right?
Yes.
And then existing franchises were potentially going to be still where they're at. But I think there's been so much conversation about the strategy of Xbox now that this game, even though potentially it was always planned to be multi-platform, because we were speculating on this for like over 2 years, right? What would the next Doom be? Would it be multi-plat? Would it be exclusive? We're making merits and cases for both, right? And for me, it's just not a surprise whatsoever, even if the strategy wasn't any different at Xbox. Even if they hadn't done these other 4 games going multi-platform, I still wouldn't be that surprised for Doom to go multi-plat itself.
If they hadn't done what they've done, I would be at that point because they would be all in, and I think they would be pushing. Like, if they were going to go that route,
exclusive, it would be send more of a message than if it was multi-plat. Right.
That's what I'm saying. If they were back in the way that they originally were talking, I would have been 90% sure it was going to be exclusive at that point. But it's not. It's not at this point. And for everybody already starting about Elder Scrolls 6, buckle up.
Yeah. I remember.
I mean, buckle up, guys.
Were y'all listening? Do y'all remember when me and Jasper were talking about this during the ABK acquisition and Psycho like almost burst a blood vessel, bro?
I know.
Like on the show, he was like, "No, you can't say this. It's not gonna happen. They said it was gonna be exclusive." And we're like, "Dude, this could change things." Like, and this was a conversation we were having. It was like, well, you got to think about all this multi-platform content they're acquiring, right? ABK's library is multiplat, right? ZeniMax Bethesda's a lot of their stuff had been multiplat. So at what point do they get so used to just releasing games everywhere that it's like, well, why not just do that one too? And why not just do that one too? Right? Because at some point, even though these publishers were just acquired and stuff now, so it's fresh, at some point, they're synonymous with Xbox, right? No different than any other brand that Xbox has at some point, because time tends to have us blend all this stuff to where, okay, this is one company now, right? It feels fresh now, so we're all getting used to this new world of Xbox and ABK and ZeniMax Bethesda and all these things. But in the future, like 10 years from now, we're not going to be like, oh, this is so fresh. Call of Duty belongs to Xbox, you know? And so at what point is like Call of Duty different than Halo? Right? Because it's both brands that are owned by Microsoft.
Yeah.
So you have to think about that from the inside and the decisions that they're making over time and the dollars and cents that come in. And that's why we were saying early on, this is a transformational acquisition. Now, I just didn't necessarily think it was going to happen that soon as it did, with the money guys putting some of that pressure on, you know, and stuff like that. The closures of the studios were the biggest surprise for me. That's why we were kind of freaked out about that. But like overall, like Doom multiplat doesn't surprise me at this point whatsoever. And beforehand, it would have maybe surprised me a little bit. I would have had more of an interesting conversation over it. But I don't really think it's going to necessarily affect anybody either.
Nope.
So anyway, Fuzz, how do you feel about this whole thing?
After what do you call it? Hi-Fi Rush went over. I pretty much gave up on them, you know, holding to their word as far as exclusives or where Game Pass exists. It was like I wouldn't say that was the straw that broke the camel's back, but it's like, well, if they're doing that and that's a new IP and it was one that was held in high regard, met certain internal metrics and they're still putting it over there, then anything's possible. Everything from Wolfenstein to Doom to Elder Scrolls. But I mean, the one holdout I would say for Elder Scrolls that they may keep it as an exclusive would be if it's truly next gen only when the next console comes out. But I doubt they'll do that just because they're going to want Series X and Series S people to be able to still play it or have access to it, other than possibly doing it through the cloud. So I think that would be one that if they did, I wouldn't say burn bridges, but just say, oh, it's for the next Xbox only, then I could see until a PS6 exists for them to code for or whatever. Yeah, it would be an exclusive to that.
And they can play with the timed exclusivity too, right, Fuzz? They could certainly for certain titles play with the timed exclusivity and just say Xbox for 6 months, a year, or whatever the case may be, like something like that. Again, that's something that they could still, I still see them fooling around with a little bit on certain titles. And Elder Scrolls certainly could fit that one for sure, like you said. And they could give the excuse, well, you don't have your PS6 out yet, so let us know. Sorry.
As far as Doom, I think the big thing with that is, even if they were to do a timed exclusive thing, look at it as marketing is going to be done in one swoop. It's probably better to have it out everywhere where the advertising or the marketing will have the most effect. Because doing that timed exclusive stuff sometimes doesn't bode as well. I think even PlayStation is realizing that with some of their stuff on PC. I know Ghost of Tsushima was doing well, but it would have probably done a bit better had it been on PC. But then again, that was back in PS4 era where they didn't believe in PCs.
And they didn't have Nixes.
Yeah, they didn't have Nixes. They didn't have any of the infrastructure for it. So I would say Doom going, Multiplat, don't care. It's in Game Pass day and date. And then if I choose to buy it after playing it, I get a discount. And that's the best deal unless I want to wait 6 months to a year for a Steam sale or something like that. So
yeah, and don't forget everybody too. Again, we keep saying Game Pass. If you have a lot of people have now started investing in PC and still have the console, just like I do, just like Mav does, just like Fuzzy does. You get both copies too with Game Pass Ultimate. Like that. Again, I can play these games on PC and console.
Fucking amazing,
nobody else is offering. Yeah, nobody else is offering you that with cross save, cross progression, automatic, no questions asked. Again, that's why I said I will ride this till the wheels fall off. I don't have to agree with the strategy. I can talk about it and give my disappointment with it and have my end. I know they're not reversing it, so I understand exactly what's happening here. Nothing's really going to shock me. From this point forward, if a decision is made with Gears or Halo or any of them, nothing's going to really shock me at this point because that's kind of what I'm expecting as we go. It just is like kind of like when versus if, right? So, but for me, I'm still looking at the value I get out of the Xbox ecosystem, and that's all that matters to me at this point. Again, that's why I gravitated towards Xbox starting halfway through last gen into this gen was the value was off the charts, plus a diversity of games from their first party that nobody else in this industry is offering right now. They happened to acquire one of my favorite dev ever in Bethesda, right? So I know those games are all coming day one. Like I'm here. I ain't going anywhere. I ain't leaving. I'm just setting my expectations now that nothing's going to shock me. So Doom is like I was like, yeah, well, obviously, like, of course. Again, it's just nothing is going to surprise me at this point. I'm just looking at it that Xbox has tripled down on the value proposition for me as a gamer. And until that changes, I'm here. I don't care. I love their setup. I love everything they do. I got all my friends. Most of my friends are all on Xbox. So I'm here, right? I'm not going anywhere. And that's the most important part to me now. So
I got a hypothetical question. Did they talk about release timing at all in any of these reports?
No.
Just hypothetically, like, could they potentially actually release this year or no?
Makes 0 cents.
0 cents.
0 cents.
0 cents.
I
tend to agree with you. I'm just curious.
Too much. They've got so much.
I know they do. But
if they had a more even release schedule this year where they had gotten a couple of these, like, I'm just Indiana Jones launched in the spring versus December, right? Okay.
Right.
Indiana Jones got out, Avowed got out, right? They got Hellblade, we got Flight Sim, Age of Mythology, Retold coming out, that stuff coming out, and they had like a space like somewhere in November after like after Call of Duty drops, right? You've suddenly got a space in November or early December, then yes, I would say yes. But the way it's backloaded, Call of Duty coming into Game Pass, all the what we expect, all the Call of Duties dropping into Game Pass, the parts of the backwards compatibility from Activision coming into Game Pass, plus everything else they got lined, plus all the second party games coming in, or I should say third party deals they got coming into Game Pass, makes zero sense to drop Doom. You save Doom for next year. You have next year, and we talked about this, Matt. This year was light. Obviously, there was 0 real first party games at the beginning of the year. Next year, it starts from the beginning of the year and goes throughout the year. They should have a full lineup that covers every single part of the year. Some quarters are going to have 2 big first-party games in them. One might even have 3, but generally speaking, 2 and 1 per quarter all the way through next year. Like, it's not going to be nonstop next year the way things are lining up right now.
The only reason this is in the back of my brain as even like the slightest conversation is because the insiders already know the platform releases. And like that's just not something usually that's announced until they're closer to release.
I'm sure they're close. This could be out the gates.
Right. Maybe it's like a early 2025.
January, February. Could be a January, February. Or they're going to give it extra. We talked about this too, right, man? This is the flexibility that they now have. If they've got their games in the chamber ready to go, they can move. They can move things around. They can ask who's ready. They can give teams more time, like it, to continue to polish their game until it's spit shined and ready to rock and roll. But if it is spit shined, ready to rock and roll, but they got it in the chamber, they just let it go, man. And we know beginning of the year now, there's no bad time to launch a game really anymore during the year.
No.
We've got too many examples where that doesn't matter. Launch it out the gate, January, February. Start your year off with Doom. Jesus.
Hypothetical. So okay, so. I mean, I think you're right, but Fuzzy, do you think there's any possibility that this could be a 2024 game?
I guess there is possibility, but like Pong said, it doesn't make sense at this point. Like
between Flight 2025, 100%.
Yeah, I think it's better to have that slotted as an early next year, along with some of the other stuff that we'll probably see in the showcase. So if they have, like, let's say they show Perfect Dark. They show State of Decay 3, and those are, set for 2025, and I already think Fable might be 2025. Mix it in somewhere in there so that way you have, at least a big game per quarter, not have it where everything starts from like May on for the rest of the year.
Right.
Slot something in there between January, February, or March and April or something like that. I think they're golden at that point.
March would be good.
Yeah.
Yeah, March, February, March, maybe March, right? I think March.
Yeah, depending what you got in the beginning of the year, right? If Clockwork Revolution is ready, or if South of Midnight is ready, right? Then you can fool around with those games and move them around. But March would be a good time for Doom too. So I think any time would be good for Doom. People are going to be hyped for this freaking game, bro.
2024, we're looking forward to still this year. Flight Sim, Towerborn, Aura on PC, Avowed. Call of Duty. Am I missing any?
Age of
Mythology Retold.
Yep. And then you've got all Indiana Jones.
Indiana Jones. I knew I was missing one big one, right?
Yep.
So just even then, okay, so you got
Flintlock, Silk Song, Stalker 2. You got Replaced coming this year.
Get the hell, bro. This is all in Game Pass, too.
All in Game Pass.
Nuts.
Every single one.
So like
and 33 Immortals, although they had a little bit of a stumble on their beta, but that possibly by the end of the year.
So all right, so Avowed was like late August or early September, something like that, I think.
No, Avowed was November.
Oh, November. Okay.
Remember, because we were talking about Assassin's Creed.
Right. So November, around like late October, early November time, we're getting Call of Duty and Avowed. Mm-hmm. December, you're getting potentially Indiana Jones, if the rumors are true.
Right.
And before that, some point, hypothetically, Flight Sim, Towerborn, and Aura, and Age of Mythology Retold.
Yes.
Okay. Buckle in, folks. Buckle in. Now that we know, like, Doom, right, is going to be shown at the showcase, like, according to insiders. Doom: The Dark Ages. Let's line this up for 2025. Okay, if it's shown here, I do think, because of what the insiders know, that this would be more than likely a earlier, like, 2025 game. So you got Doom: The Dark Ages, right? Perfect Dark, I have in my gut feeling is that it's a 2025 game. I could be wrong, but if it is, I think it's later in the year. I think it's going to fill that late, middle November, December slot or whatever, kind of what they're doing with Indiana Jones. Fable, I also thought it could be a 2025 game as well. But I don't know when. So maybe Perfect Dark would be the later summer game, and Fable would be the holiday game, right?
Potentially.
So you got Doom, Fable, Perfect Dark. Are they releasing another full-fledged Call of Duty this year? Or is this the time where they're going to skip after this year? Are they going to skip years? Because that was speculation for a while too. Yep. Do they do another Call of Duty next year also, or they do like one of these like 1.5 games, kind of like we got with Modern Warfare 3?
Yeah, could be.
Maybe that's Sledgehammer's role going forward.
How soon do we think ever was it Elsewhere? How soon? Because they've been incubating for what, 2 years?
I think
plus?
they'll be maybe
released.
2026, 2027, something like that.
Okay.
Because I think if they've been at 2 or 3 years in, they're working on a big RPG type game. Probably it's going to be like a 6-year project. Probably working on new technology, all these kind of things too. Working, maybe they're Unreal. I don't know what they're working on. I don't know if it was said, but you got to build up the studio. And
they could be one of the early studios that are actually being prepped for next gen.
Yeah.
So they're getting kind of the specs, like whatever they're doing, they're starting to get that, hey, this is how we're making this technological leap. This is what we're thinking it's going to look like. Like they plan your game around this. Here's some tools that we have started on, right? With the AI, whatever else they got going on in this new system. I think they could be one of the first studios that are actually working on what will be a launch or very close to launch title for the next gen. It makes perfect sense. Yeah. It really does. Can you imagine having a brand new freaking big RPG from Poland? Freaking start your... Their launch lineup could rival Dreamcast. I'm not even joking. They've got to be thinking the same thing if they're really doing this in 2026. Anyway, sorry. It blows my mind when I start thinking about 2026 if they're going to do this. Anyways, sorry. But yeah, I think next year, I think Fable or Perfect Dark, one of those two.
So the other one would be 2026.
I mean, I could be completely wrong.
I think they're both still 2025.
You think they're both 2025, Fuzz?
Yeah,
they gotta be, right?
So you're gonna have South of Midnight, you're gonna have Clockwork Revolution, you're gonna have Doom, you're gonna have Perfect Dark, and you're gonna have Fable all next year.
Fuck yeah, why not, bro?
Chase them out every other month.
I mean, yeah, and then there's a billion other ones in between too that we're not even thinking of right now. But yes.
What about ZeniMax Online's new game?
ZeniMax Online's game. When's that?
Could it be 2025 or would it be a launch title for next gen?
No, that could be next year.
Because they got to be probably going to be Multiplat as well, right?
I mean, it's Multiplat. It's an MMO. It's going to be everywhere. If it is, especially if it's licensed. If it's Marvel or Star Wars, it's going everywhere. They will put that thing everywhere they possibly can.
Games of service.
It's going to, sure, totally. That's going to be. But I think that's a 2025 game. They got to be close though, because I mean they were working on it for 5 or 6 years. But I think that's a 2025 launch as well. And then you got Oblivion remake, Fallout 3 remake. Those are games unto them. Those two are if they're doing full remakes, Mav, those games are like big launches.
Yeah, remember the rumors or insiders were saying this before, like that they had formed a studio to add Bethesda ZeniMax to work on those kind of projects, right?
So you got to slot those in too. I'm
Contraband.
It's stupid.
What about Contraband?
This is Contraband, correct? Contraband's next year. It's got to be, unless it's been canned. But I think it's still. It's still going.
It's still in.
Yeah, it's still.
I wouldn't say testing, but it's still. There's playable states out there that people have been.
So then that's got to be 2025.
Yeah.
This is the Avalanche.
Unless it's ready before the end of this year.
Right.
They're like, hey,
just drop it.
Yeah. Okay. Antonio Newman says Everwild.
Yeah.
What?
I think that's 2026.
2029. I don't fucking know, man.
Cyberpunk.
All they showed us was a barn.
Skull and Bones Cyberpunk. I think Everwild probably is coming together from everything we've heard.
Yeah. Psycho's sold that this is going to be like a 2025 game. We're going to see it this year.
No, yeah,
because he's been paying more attention to this than any of us.
And it's not going to be some massive game. Okay, it's not going to be a massive game. If they can just get the core, I think it's going to be a smaller experience that could potentially come together a lot faster than a 5-6 year development cycle from the time that they restarted it or whatever they did again. I don't think that's the case. I think Everwild is going to be a rare experience through and through. It's going to not be like some massive RPG, right? It's going to be a rare game. So chances are it is something that probably can come together sooner than your regular traditional, big game would. So I think certainly it's possible that it could be ready next year. I think it's going to be a 2026 game. They're going to let them polish that thing and fix it and make sure it's good. 2026. If all of this is true, what we're talking about in 2025 potential is already this, there are going to be some games they move. I don't see them unloading every chamber in 2025. Like, I just don't see that happening.
What about, I'm going to add one to it.
Yeah.
Marcus Phoenix collection.
That's if that's ready. Steel is convinced it's this year.
Yeah.
If it's ready, he says you don't hold it, you just drop it. Of course, that's partially him like wanting it, right? Obviously, that's partially him just hopes and dreams. I don't disagree with him if you're going to start the you but my point would be you hold that till next year as well. If you got
Marcus have all those other games, do you like just say, well, this year it's actually
saying you move.
Like,
I don't know. That's what
remember this Matt Booty was talking about, right?
And this is what we talked about when we started looking at this stuff. How are they going to possibly, if all these games come together, and obviously they had a log jam, or they're coming up on the log jam because a lot of games got pushed because of COVID, because of everything that happened, right? A lot of this stuff is getting ready now over the next 2 years. What are they going to honestly do? Are we going to have a year like next year where we get 15 first-party games? 12 first-party games, right? Big games. Because again, to me, if you got Oblivion and you got Fallout 3 remakes, those are big games. Those aren't small. That's not just something that, you just shadow drop into Game Pass and be like, have fun. That's going to have a marketing campaign. It's going to be a big deal. It's going to sell millions of copies. Then you throw in stuff like the Marcus Phoenix collection. There's no way they're just going to, we got this Marcus Phoenix collection. Go have fun, guys. They're not going to do that. That's going to be the ramp up to Gears of War. Now, the thing I would watch with the Marcus Phoenix collection, I brought this up before, is if I were them, we need to find out when the TV show or the anime is ready. Because you have that ready to launch around the same time, just like you would have had you had a Fallout game. You would have launched it around the same time as the series. You do that to start the complete Gears run up to Gears 6, right? And I think that would be what you would do. Even if it's ready, you hold it until that anime or the TV series is ready to rock and roll, hopefully next year. And then you drop that around that same time, because it's going to be, everybody's going to rush to go back and play. You have it potentially everywhere, right? You have it everywhere, including PlayStation. Mm-hmm. You have it everywhere. Everybody goes and plays Gears again. But that's going to suck the life out of something else in your lineup if you've got anything close by it. It's tough, man.
You could line that up with like a flight sim, because it'd be possibly two different audiences, so you could have those overlap.
Yes, something like that. If you've got a lull, for sure, Fuzz, you could drop it in, even if you got a first-party title, but it's like a flight sim. If it's or even an Age of Mythology retold, right? You can drop it around that time, and it's not, those two shouldn't really feed off of each other at all. I'm just saying that this is a great problem to have, but just talking about it now, like we have been, like, I don't know what they're going to do. That's why I think Perfect Dark gets pushed. I think potentially Fable get pushed to 2026. And again, like I said, if you're looking at a launch lineup, why not have those teams while you're waiting for that launch window to come, start working, or make sure that they have that next gen version ready to rock and roll out the gate and just have it as a launch title. Like, why would you not do that? I don't know. I don't know what the right answer is. I really don't. I'm just spitballing here, but next year looks ridiculous. I mean, there's no question about it.
this year's ridiculous enough, right? From May to the end of the year. And then, 2025 is fuck, man. Yeah, 2025 is shaping up to be, it could be like the best year they've had like ever.
Yeah. Off the heels of having a freaking amazing second half of this year. You could be looking at a year and a half of just straight domination.
Right.
Like straight domination.
Nobody with momentum building up to a launch of another piece of hardware.
Yeah, Nintendo Switch 2 is the only thing that's going to be a black hole next year, potentially. Right? That's the only thing. PlayStation 5 Pro will have its moment, but if they've got no games, and now we heard today, Insomniac supposedly has said they're in no rush to show off Wolverine.
Well, everybody's already fucking seen it. Like
it's on PC.
Right.
It's on
right.
PC.
But we talked about that as potentially being there. Like if they have a showcase, like, and Insomniac today supposedly said in an interview, we ain't rushing to show Wolverine. We don't have any plans to show it off anytime soon. Yo. So again, you're going to be looking at Nintendo Switch 2, and then you're just going to be looking at Xbox. That's all you're going to see next year's Xbox if they have this ready. And then it sounds like from everything we're just talking about and where things are lining up, they do. It's going to be a year and a half of absolute domination by Xbox. It is. There's no question. This is why all this nonsense about Xbox dying for the freaking 150th time out here in this community is so. It's just bullshit. They are one of the world's largest, biggest publishers in terms of content. They probably are the world's biggest publisher. There's no end in sight.
We haven't even touched on the support stuff or the extent, DLC or
all these games that are ongoing that have Diablo big player bases.
Forza is still getting updated.
You're botting out.
Shattered Space is getting an update.
Yes. That's what's crazy. And then if they do have a Call of Duty next year, you got to throw that in there. Listen. It doesn't matter if it's everywhere else. What matters is it's on the Xbox ecosystem. What matters is they're running Game Pass the same way. All this shit's dropping to Game Pass. I don't care. I still look at it as like it's Xbox. Xbox is dominating. All these games are Xbox games. Even if they're multi-platform, they are Xbox games. They are branded. They are going to be in Game Pass. They are available to all of us who do partake in Game Pass. It is ridiculous the situation that they find themselves in. It's one of the best positions. This is why a lot of us were disappointed and would have loved to see them actually, at this point, with all these acquisitions, compete 1-for-1 with PlayStation and see what happens, right? On the old way, right? Again, this is why a lot of people have a problem with it, because you look at this. If we were sitting here and Phil was Dark Phil, if he was Peter Moore and was like, whole slate exclusive, like, who would be able to deny it? Like, there's like nothing. But again, we're not there. So I'm just looking at it again, straight up. Best place to play is going to be your Xbox. Best place to play is going to be within Game Pass. All the money saved over the next 3 years is going to be stupid amounts. Even if they wind up raising Game Pass, it's going to be a ridiculous amount of money you save every year or if you have anything to play.
Or playing the Xbox games on PC, which they put them there day one also, which guess what?
Exactly.
They don't make much money on selling a fucking console. If you're playing their games and engaging in them, that's where they're making their money, and that's where they're judging their success. And that's not just Xbox words. That's where the industry is moving to. The only platform that really makes money on their hardware to where it's a big business for them as far as that's how they make their money is Nintendo, right?
Yep.
And that's why they have such a shitty little device that never had a price drop on since its launch back in 2016. 2016? I think it came out, and it was outdated then. 2017. Yeah, it's outdated then. It's even way more outdated now. Still selling like crazy. Hardware sales have declined, but they're making a lot of money per sell of the Switch. I guarantee you, right? Xbox doesn't make much money on selling an Xbox console. PlayStation doesn't make much money selling a PlayStation console, right? They try and maximize it as PlayStation has by taking out shit out of their console like 4 different times this generation and getting the weight down and stuff, but they're not making much, and it's the software sales that is really where they make the money. It's software sales and microtransactions the engagement on these games and stuff like that. So if you're playing on PC, Xbox is fucking happy with that. And I see so many people be like, oh, what? They're like, oh, I don't need an Xbox. Well, I guess there's not going to be reason to play an Xbox. So just play games on PC. Like, Xbox is like, cool, bro. Like, enjoy your PC.
And then forever. Yeah, it's been their line forever. Like, they haven't denied that.
Yeah.
They've encouraged it.
Yes.
It's like that's what people like do. I'm like, where you guys been? Like, this is a thing. Like, this is what they've been pushing for. Like, obviously. So I will throw one monkey wrench into next year. And it's got to be considered by everybody in the industry. If Grand Theft Auto 6 does make fall of next year, that's going to be a black hole. And I don't think you put any, I mean, unless it's Call of Duty, right? You don't put anything around whatever date that winds up being. You can't. You will ship your game to die. So you got to consider that too. And I'm sure they're thinking about that, right? Whenever that date gets announced, if they're going to hold tight to it, that would create a spot where you probably wouldn't launch anything as well, which means you probably, if you had a game slotted for that area, you know, then you probably push one more into 2026 just to get out of the way of that game, because you know the vast majority of your players are going to be sinking a lot of time into Grand Theft Auto 6 for at least a month, right? And it depends what they do with their online and how they handle all that. That's the only other caveat for next year, which could push another game or two into 2026 and maybe not have that full slate come out and just say, keep polishing, guys, keep polishing. Here's our next gen. This is what our tools are. Start working on it. Get ready. You know, that's what I would do personally, but we'll see. We'll see. Next year's gonna be crazy, man. Next year's fucking insane. So this year's insane.
Like we talked about, you mentioned this, Fuzz. You're talking about not just all these other big releases, but also all the ongoing content for all these games too, and the updates, right? So we got Shattered Spaces coming out for Starfield. You have Vessel of Hatred coming for Diablo, right? So those are two massive expansions. Then you also have Sea of Thieves expansion all the time stuff that they always have. You have Elder Scrolls Online, you have Fallout 76, right? You have Grounded. Forza Horizon 5 is still popular, right? Forza Motorsport, they're treating it like that as well. You have Age of Empires, they're treating like games of service also, with coming out new content pretty frequently for not just Age 4 but also Age 2 still. And then they're just doing a whole new Age of Mythology remake that's coming out this year as well. Like, all these games still have player bases with engagement and people playing them, right? Despite, even if you didn't have any releases in Halo Infinite, another one, right? Even if you didn't have any new releases, just all these games getting all these updates is substantial enough to keep people playing. And that's something that I think other platforms kind of take for granted a little bit, like people that are just fans of like every new game. But like, when these games keep getting updated and we always have this new content to look forward to and stuff, it feels fresh, man. Like, I was just playing Starfield the other day. It feels way better than it ever did before. Playing Forza Motorsport the other day, plays way better than it ever did before. Halo Infinite, way better than it ever did before. People have been talking about the Sea of Thieves update, how good it is. I haven't tried it out yet, but these are all things we have to look forward to as well. On top of all that shit that Pong just ran down for this year and next, because they don't stop supporting those games. Like, it would be a huge news if one of those games, like, hey, we're ending support for, because there's massive player bases for all of those games. People would freak out. And like, that's something I think as Xbox fans sometimes we take for granted a little bit.
And we're just used to it now.
Yeah,
we're used to it. Like, it's second nature for us. You know, again, that's, everybody came out and it's like, oh, you know, why play old games? We play old games over here all the time because they're supported. We have a whole back catalog with many of the games being updated this gen that we never thought would get any better and did get better. Like, that's second nature. That's a part of what Xbox worked to do so hard. But the fact that they have all of these games as a service now underneath their belt, it's just second nature over here. We've been used to doing that. Games just don't stop. it goes back to the one and done thing. This is the thing that Sony locked themselves into, and now they're trying to find a different way to get out of it, right? They're still going to make them, but they're trying to find other things because that's all their games. Again, all you got to do, even if our community is the 1% or the 1%.
Yeah.
Look at the Sony, go look at the Sony side sometime. Tell me how many of those people are still talking about Spider-Man 2. Tell me how many of those people are still talking about God of War Ragnarok. God of War Ragnarok had a spurt for a week when they dropped the DLC where everybody did go back and was actually posting about it. And then it was gone again off the radar, right? Yeah. Ghost of Tsushima tried to launch a standalone Legends multiplayer mode, and it got literally like a week's worth of hype, and then nobody talked about it again. Xbox side, go look at the Xbox people. You will find games from the 360 all the way to the most current games being played and talked about constantly on the Xbox side. People posting screenshots and acting like it's brand new. Look at the Fallout 76 community, second wind here. Total revival. Now that's what I see. I see people posting Fallout 76 videos and all these, tips and tutorials and that kind of stuff. You see this constantly on our side, but it's been that way for a very long time. It goes back a long time ago because Xbox started that whole again, a lot of people in the industry started it, but Xbox's first party has had that mentality to keep building on the games, to keep making them better, to go back to them again and do new stuff with them. So for us, it's just, it's not even taken for granted. It's just, if you've been on Xbox, it's second nature to you at this point. We don't think of games as one and done anymore. Like, that's just not how it works. Like, sure, certainly Xbox has had those types of games, but then there's 12 others behind it that are continuously updated or fresh or have a community built around them where we constantly are playing.
Yeah.
That's a positive. So I always hated that when I first jumped in here and I started hearing that shit. You guys just playing old games. Who plays old games? A lot of fucking people play old games.
Yeah.
A lot of the masses play old games. Fortnite is technically an old game now. Yeah. Okay, it is.
Just got PUBG. New season or new chapter today for Fortnite just dropped.
PUBG is an old game now. People are still playing these games by the millions. In fact, some of them are the biggest games in the entire world right now. That mentality is so small because Sony trained their fans to expect the cinematic experience that we just got in Hellblade 2. Hellblade 2 is not going to be a continuous game. It is going to be a one and done game, or for some people 2 or 3 times due to the length and ease to go back and go get collectibles. But that's Hellblade 2. It'll be fondly remembered for the graphical audio showpiece it was with great story, depending on where you stand on this. It's going to be remembered for that. But when you're done with Hellblade 2, as an Xbox player, you got fucking 15 other games to go play that are constantly being updated, that are fresh and ready to rock and roll. People go back to Starfield right now. Like, it's second nature to us. Sony doesn't have that, never, and hasn't had that for a very long time. And that's why for them, it's so weird. But that's just a simple fact. And it's only growing now with these acquisitions. Yeah. It's only growing with all the titles that they now have.
All those games, get service that I've mentioned, I wasn't even thinking about the ABK side. With Overwatch, I did mention Diablo, but Call of Duty is the big one, right? Yeah. I mean, but you even add other stuff in there like that we don't even really think about. Hearthstone, you know what I mean? Like just shit like that. Like
WoW's an ancient game. They still haven't updated that fucking thing. Millions of people still playing it, coming out with new expansions, whole new turnaround for WoW. Like, yeah. This is the home of that. That's why I love Xbox. Again, even if it's multiplat, even if it could be played everywhere else, even if some of these games are PC only, it's now Xbox. But this is not something new to them. They didn't just go acquire this stuff. They were already doing it for their own games. This was an established philosophy, the way they started building their games. That's what the beautiful part is. That's stuff that we've been praising forever. Yeah. And their acquisitions only added to that because they acquired a bunch of places that do the exact same thing. Yes, you've certainly got your specialty studios that do smaller games, right? That do like Double Fine, right? One and done games, specialty boutique type games, right? But then you got freaking all these other studios that are making big games and games as a service and starting little projects like Grounded that turn out to be a big deal. That's the beauty of Xbox, and that people never give them credit for.
Yeah,
whatever.
100%. Wilfred Rosario added State of Decay in there. You know, that's like if you play State of Decay today compared to where State of Decay 2 today comparatively to where it was at launch, it's a completely different fucking game. You know, and they kept giving people reasons to keep coming back, growing the audience. You know,
and all that was a test run because State of Decay 3 is going to be the State of Decay they originally envisioned, which was a lot bigger than what State of Decay 2 was. They are now going to live out that vision. Plus, they have all the expertise that they learned from the State of Decay 2. State of Decay 3 is going to be a big game.
2025, 2026.
2026 launch title.
Fuck, this is so...
Yeah, bro, launch title. Guaranteed. It's going to be so freaking...
It'll be cross-gen, so you'll still be able to play it on your...
Yeah, you'll be able to play it, but it's going to be for the launch of the new console. I think they're going to line that up perfectly. If again, we're assuming that they're going to launch holiday 2026, State of Decay 3 will be launched. But yes, all these games will be cross-gen for a while.
And all these things that we just said is why I just don't give a shit if PlayStation gets Doom. I honestly don't fucking care. And I said this before, like I think there's two kinds of people. There's people that buy a console because other people can't play the games that are on the console, right? And then there's people that buy the console because they enjoy the experience on the console, right? I'm more of that person than I get the console because I look forward to what I can enjoy on it. And that doesn't change. In fact, it's only gotten better and better as this generation goes. And it's looking like the next couple of years is going to be ape shit fucking crazy, right? And I'm super excited about it. Alvin hit us a little while ago with the $5 super chat. Said, Luca! I am not watching the game right now, guys. I am recording it, and I am going to watch it after the fact. I know you guys have been trying to mess with me in the chat to kind of give me little hints here and there about what's going on. I appreciate that. But yeah, I will be watching the game afterwards and finding out what happened. If you end up spoiling it for me, it is what it is. I'll still enjoy the game. It's not your fault. It's my fault for not having it on right now as I'm podcasting, but it is too much of a distraction for me. I am too diehard. I could not do it. It was either cancel the show or watch the Mavs later. And I decided to watch the Mavs later because you guys don't understand. I did it last time. I watched the game during a podcast. It's just like, it was hard. It was hard for me. I got to admit. Brett Bingham hit us with a $5 super chat earlier. Says, I don't give a shit. Just give me a StarCraft 1 and 2 definitive edition for console. Hell yeah, bro. That's what we're talking about, man. Ask for more. Ask for what you want. I did a like little string of tweets this early this morning about, and it was mainly about games I want to see come back. Like there's all these 360 games and franchises and stuff, like and other games that weren't necessarily even on Xbox that I want to see come back. And you know, StarCraft, I want to see it come back too, man.
It's coming. It's coming.
Do we see? What is the odds we could hear the words StarCraft at the showcase this year? I want a percentage.
Then my guess. I mean, personally for me, I think I'd probably say 70% chance.
Okay. Here's a second hypothetical. Could this potentially be the reason that other game was canceled within Blizzard?
No.
What if they decided to shift resources?
Different team.
Okay.
It's going to be a different team. And I have a feeling they had already started building a team when Ybarra...
Mike Ybarra made that little wink face to Simu Liu, right?
Yes. And I believe that they already had the plans and they had started building the team. And obviously we've seen a lot of studios get the cuts, and some of those studios were RTS studios. I think they've been collecting talent, and I think now is the time where they tease it and then hire the rest that they need for it,
right,
and rebuild the StarCraft team. I think that's what they're doing right now. Kind of like Elsewhere. We didn't know Elsewhere existed. I think they're incubating another team right now. And maybe some of the team from that survival game did move over. I just don't think that was the exact cause. I just think that Microsoft looked at it and said, not going to put our resources into this one.
My hypothetical thinking on that was just about okay,
it's possible.
Blizzard in general has so many things that they are working on, right? Mm-hmm. And at the time, they're trying to think about, okay, like we have a certain amount of resources and we have a certain amount of time and developers, and like, do we invest in this new IP or do we go harder into bringing StarCraft back? And just thinking about Phil and what he probably feels about StarCraft and stuff, maybe they could have potentially seen it as a better allocation of money and time. Possible. Right. And I'm not just, this is a off the cuff speculation off the back of my mind here. Right. But to add StarCraft on top of the survival games, on top of the Diablo stuff they're doing, on top of the other things, just adding a whole other franchise to the mix when they're not supporting their existing franchise like StarCraft, which is like a home run type hitter, like it seems like a daunting task for Blizzard at the time. I wanted to see it. I want that game to still release. I want them to go back to it at some point because I want to see a new IP.
It could be the revival of WoW that caused it as well, because they're putting a lot of resources in WoW too. It could have just been a mix of different things. I'm not saying it's absolutely against. I like 100%. I never deal in that shit. Gut feeling it was it didn't have anything to do with it, but yeah, you could be right, Matt. It could just been a combination of all the things that they do have going on. That survival game, they were just like, yeah, we're not going to put the resources into this one, so we might as well not even launch it. It's just not. It's not going to be supported the way that we would support the games normally. So let's just go.
What was interesting though is like, according to like before Jez's insight was that game was further along than we all thought it was too.
Yes, pretty far along,
I don't know.
Supposedly, but think if they do bring back StarCraft, they'll have two of the biggest RTS franchises in history. Also in-house in Age of Empires and StarCraft. I mean, they just have this is why I love Xbox, the diversity of lineup. They just have so many different styles of games now. It's crazy. It's crazy, man. I love it.
I want to shift focus here, guys.
I'm excited, man.
Yeah. Dude, we're in constant hype mode.
I'm in showcase season mode. It's just
exactly. We're 3 weeks away, a little less than 3 weeks away from the showcase season starting. Yeah. We go fucking apeshit crazy here on this channel with showcase season. We're gonna cover everything we possibly can. Be here for everything we possibly can. Co-stream everything. Get hyped. Get exhausted. Like this happens every fucking year, and I'm super excited for it, bro.
We've been told to calm down.
Yes, yeah. Like, what are you guys excited so much for? Because we're revealing fucking video games, and this is like
it's all fake. It's all fake. We hate Xbox.
Oh, we're farming for engagement.
It's all fake.
We're all farming for engagement.
We hate it.
Including we're farming for engagement when we criticize games media for reviews. And how they handle reviews. That's been said as well, actually.
Yeah, I agree, David. It's going to be Age of Mythology, August, July or August. I want Age of Mythology to drop for sure. That would be great. That'd be a perfect time. Because now we have Space Marine 2 in September. Jesus Christ.
So I want to add a little complaint to my Hellblade 2 talk that I had the other day. We're talking about how amazing it is. I just got done playing some more, right? And fuck, it's so amazing. Like it is like raising up actually higher than what I was talking about the other day, Pong, as I'm playing more of the game. But I do have a little complaint here. Okay. It is so distracting feeling the urge to take a screenshot every fucking 5 seconds. Because when I'm playing now, like when I was playing earlier, like I was in this like mode of like, oh, I gotta snap that because like it just is eyeball popping, jaw dropping visuals constantly. There's no like switch between cinematic and gameplay. It's all just like so immersive and keeps you in touch. It's like, I gotta capture this. Oh, this would look amazing. And I'm trying to sit there and think about, oh, I gotta time. Like earlier there was like these pulses of light that was happening, and I was like trying to time my screenshot with the pulse of the fucking light, you know? And I didn't want to go to photo mode. I wanted to like capture like what I was experiencing. So I just hit the little fucking button on the controller, you know, just like, I gotta capture that. And it's like so in my mind now when I'm playing, like I'm just constantly looking for the next screenshot when I'm playing the game.
You start to get a taste of it. I know you'll never be. You got a little piece of what I go through, but I go into the full photo mode, right? So
I did it a little earlier, and I captured this one, and I wonder if I can bring it up, bro.
Well, Yeah, that's part of my addiction. That's why I just call it like a little mini game. Because it's all my games. I just fired up Ghost again today, and what did I start doing? Like within the first minute, I had already gone into photo mode to take a photo. Like that's me though, and I count it like a mini game within the game. People ask, how do you do that? I don't have a problem with it breaking immersion. Do I go through stretches where I will purposefully stop doing it? Yes, I will. Like, I will do that. Like, I'll be like, okay, you've done enough photo mode. Yes, you could get some cool shots, but just keep going. Just chug through it. But that is my own addiction. But I had one today, Mav, in Hellblade too. I won't spoil anything, but there was a scene where there was light effects that were happening sporadically, right?
Yeah.
And I wanted to capture, right? I was doing the same thing as you. I popped in the photo mode though. But I actually got to a point where I got down to the source of the light. And let me tell you something, guys. Like, okay. Mav, you can keep doing your thing. But real quick. The Ninja Theory. Okay, in most games, we all know, I think most of us have a basic concept of development, what they do with their games, right? And I wish 3-Bit was here so you could talk about this a little bit more too. Things that are far away off screen that most people aren't going to see, generally speaking, have less detail in the games because it saves on resources, right? It's for performance issues, right? So things that people aren't going to see, like the easiest example is the crowds, like in Forza, right? We know they can be really terrible, okay? Because they're off. Because when you're driving 150 miles per hour, 200 miles per hour, it doesn't matter what they freaking look like. So they don't spend a lot of time on the details, right? And this happens in all games, and because developers have to save resources to make sure that they get the best performance from their games wherever they can. And things that are far away, generally speaking, get less detail. Sometimes even the engine itself does it on purpose. We know this. Well, I was on a path, and this light thing kept happening. Again, I'm not going to spoil anything, whatever else. And I captured it. And I actually was going to capture it because it lit up Senua's face really cool, right? Because it was a very dark area, and then it would light her face up. And so I wanted to grab a shot of that.
Yeah.
Well, I snapped into photo mode, and I was doing my Senua picture, and then I was like, well, shit. Let me see if I can get what is exactly happening that's causing this light effect. And I wound up being able to bring the camera because the camera, it's not unlimited, but it's a pretty big bubble that you can move the camera around in, considering the detail in the game. So I move this camera down, and I get the action that's happening with the light. Multiple figures. That's all I will say. There's multiple figures. All of those figures, I couldn't get close to some of them, but I got close to one. There happened to be one that I didn't even know was there until I was moving the camera. I was like, yo, what's this? Where did this guy come from? When I lit him up, he had the same amount of detail as any other shot, as if I was right next to him. He had the same amount of detail, and it was far away. It was on the other side of a rock face, like down in this pit area. I lit him up with all, because you can bring, for people who haven't tried the photo mode in Hellblade 2, they have 3 lights that you can actually use to change the lighting on any scene. I use those all the time. I position those lights so I could get all of his detail. He was exactly the same detailed model character as if I was battling him one-on-one up close. Like, I couldn't believe, I was like, yo, Ninja Theory, going out of your freaking way, man. Like, out of your freaking way. I was like, this is crazy. Just wanted to give everybody a little glimpse of what Ninja Theory actually did here. They are wizards over there, man, with the Unreal Engine 5. Crazy. Yeah. Crazy.
I'm going through, I'm just bringing up shots that all I did with these shots is just snap the screenshot button on my controller. Right? Like, so some of them are in motion or whatever. And it's just fucking nuts to me that we've reached this level now with games. I see some people say, oh, wait, this isn't who's ever seen other games like this? I haven't. Never. I've played and seen some of the best out there with graphics and stuff, but like, it's not just that that's Starfield here. It's not just that the graphics are good and that amazing. It's like, it's the fact that it's so seamless between the cinematics and the gameplay. Like, some of those screens that are just showing, like, those are in the middle of actual combat, right? But it looks when you're playing it like it's a cutscene,
right?
But there's no like difference between them.
No, you know, Digital Foundry said that's how they knew like that it was legit, because you could go into photo mode at any time, even during the cutscene, that these was not CGI.
Yeah,
it wasn't pre-rendered. It was the actual same character models from the game to the cutscene. No difference whatsoever. Insane.
I'm wondering if they just generated the cutscenes with the actual game models. Like, I know, like when I dissected GTA 5, they have like 3 or 4 different models for each character. One specific for cutscenes, one specific for like when you're not in combat, or one's for in combat and things like that. So they have like multiple models. This game, it looks like basically everything is done. I wouldn't say done in one take, but it's like everything is built within that world, and they just use those assets either for the cutscene or you're playing as them the entire way. And the atmosphere, everything is amazing in that game. So and that's just on the Series X. I haven't even installed it on PC yet, so I'm kind of waiting because I want to have better video clips. Like the video clips, like not to cut off Mav on your complaint, but my biggest complaint about the game is that the DVR sucks on the Series X, and I haven't figured out how to map the screenshot button on the Elite controller.
Oh,
so that's a my fault thing. So I can't use it that same way. I have to hit the Xbox button and then hit Y for pictures, or just the Xbox button and X for video clips and stuff. But it's rendering it at 1080 because I don't feel like hooking up an extension or an external drive and then hooking that to my PC. I can't upload a 4K clip to the site or something. It's something weird where it's just too much trouble to even bother with doing the 4K for 30 seconds type of thing. It's like, I even bother. Or if I do the 4K with an external, then I'm just having to hook that up to a PC. So I might as well just play the game on PC at that point.
Yeah.
To go ahead and transfer the file. So those are my only complaints, is that the DVR still sucks on Series X, and the Elite 3 needs to happen sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
Other than that, I'm extremely happy with it.
Probably get an announcement of that at the showcase or after around the showcase. I don't know if they'll have hardware for sure at the showcase. That was one of our theories we were doing the other night when we were doing the stream. But yeah, I think the Series 3 is probably sooner than later. It's time for sure. And it'll probably have haptics because Phil's all about that now. For sure. But yeah, man, it's so good. The game's getting better and better for me as I play it. I get that's not for everybody, right? There's been a big conversation about games media and review process because of this game as well, and I think it's warranted as something that we not only bring up when there's Xbox games that don't meet what we think they deserve, especially from certain critics. I don't mind like when they go like, hey, you know, here's all the things I like about it, here's what I don't, and they give it like a fair score, 7, 8, whatever. But when they go in like 45 and stuff like that, like when with Starfield, when Jim Sterling gave it a 4 because he said that Microsoft or Bethesda doesn't like trans people, and like different things. Like, yeah, go read his review, it's insane. Different things.
Shout out
like
to Black Viking, by the way.
Yeah,
who came up with a great score sheet today. If anybody hasn't seen the Black Viking, shout out to him, man. Shout out, awesome dude. But he posted today after Mav and I went on a rant last night about the coverage of Hellblade 2, and another rant about obviously reviews. And we've been doing that for years. The Black Viking actually has gone to work, and he put together a score sheet of what it should look like potentially to be able to start to change the review process, right? He actually created one that is comprehensive, and he did his review on Hellblade 2 to show what it would look like and how it would turn out his score. And again, he's taking feedback. He really wants to push this forward. Like, he's doing a lot of work here. So go check out the Black Viking. I reposted it with my thoughts on it as well. again, just
those guys are
a lot of people are noticing
with that
those
show
guys are awesome
too. Yeah, they're like
Longhouse. The Longhouse Gaming is just freaking awesome too.
Doing great work. They're like really trying
charity work.
Charity work and everything they're doing is like just like such a class act type guys too, like respectful, like do everything right and pushing things like that like in a serious way. Mad respect to what they're doing over there, and I saw that. That's what I was getting to, Pong.
Okay. Sorry.
No worries. Yeah, and I wanted to bring it up because like we had been discussing this for a while, and like we talked about it a lot with Jedi Survivor, other games in the past, Hogwarts Legacy, other things about trying to find a way to not that obviously subjectivity is always a thing, and every single score you could put on that score sheet could be subjective to the individual person, right? So you're not removing subjectivity away, but you're increasing the amount of objectivity that used to be more prevalent in games media when covering games and reviewing games, right?
You're forcing the reviewer to show how he got to the or she got to the score that they finally give it. You are forcing them to give transparency, not just it's an opinion. Or not just the final statement, the final paragraph, right? With the opinion, the final wrap up of the opinion. And by the way, I said all these great things above, but my score is a 45. Okay. Show me how you got there. Show me how you got there. That's what this type of sheet would do. That's what we used to get back in the day. This one is even more detailed than anything we got back in the day. But back in the day when they used to break it down, like we've always talked about in the magazines, with the objective factors that you can grade, and give a score to objectively and still have your comments in there, right? There's still room for comments, but you showed exactly how you got to the final score itself. That's what the Black Viking was doing here, is giving that score sheet so that every reviewer would have to face criticism, right? Even more than they do now, by proving why they gave that game that score, not just a bunch of word salad and I just didn't like it because it wasn't the game that I wanted, so there's a 50.
And I like his approach for asking for feedback on that, because not every system is perfect, and like if you look at it, how does it fit to other kinds of games that don't really have a story or this or that, and there's always questions to ask and how you handle those things, right? We tried to do something a little bit when we're doing reviews, and it was kind of similar. We kind of had an aggregate for everybody that played the game and tried to figure out a point system for different elements of the games, and then we'd kind of average everything out into a score based on different categories and stuff. But we don't really like to review games too much, and it's not something that's for me really, because I don't like feeling pressured to play a game a certain way and also to finish them, because that affects me with the game in general, right? And that's probably also something that happens to a lot of these reviewers when they're playing these games. I think a lot of these people would have never even wanted to play that game to begin with, right? Okay, if this kind of game is not for you, or never wanted to play it, or never interested in it, but you're stuck as the reviewer because you're chosen out of a hat or because you were available at the time, right, to do a review for a publication, should you be the one that's doing a review on something you never had interest in the first place? It's like only liking one specific kind of thing and forced to tell everybody else what's good about something you don't like or what's bad about something you don't like. It just doesn't make a lot of sense, and that's where the holes are there. But if you're right, if you have that objective filled sheet that's filled with all these different metrics of the games and all these different categories, then you're forcing the issue there to judge on different criteria, right? Other than just only, I didn't like it, I liked it. Because who does that serve?
Right.
Everybody's going to like or not like different things, right?
Mm-hmm.
So for me, like if you have 1,000 words that breaks down something and ultimately your score only reflects your own personal feeling of enjoyment as opposed to all the other metrics, the only person that serves is themselves and not the actual audience it's intended for. And that's the problem. And there used to be a hallmark of games media, of journalism in general, as well, and of a review process back in the day. And maybe some of us are old enough to remember this, right? But that's what made a good reviewer, is as subjective and biases that are out there, and everybody has personal bias and preferences and all these different kinds of things. It's that you are, if you say you're unbiased or unpreferential to things in life, you're a liar, right? Everybody has preferences. Everybody has biases to things that they enjoy more than others and all that kind of stuff, right? And it can inherently change your perception or perspective on things even without you knowing so. But the ability for somebody to attempt to remain as objective as possible to better inform people for their purchasing decisions is what generally in the past has made somebody a good reviewer or not. But it has changed. And the day and age we're in now, it's people gaining fans because of their own personal taste and liking the way they write or their crazy opinions or off the cuff things. And it's like, yeah, you know what? I'm so important. It doesn't matter all these other things. I didn't like it. So guess what? That's what it gets, you know? And
I don't like Microsoft, so that's what it gets.
Exactly. And or like, I don't like J.K. Rowling for the Hogwarts Legacy, right? Or you can look at different instances across the board of different biases and preferences. There's a reason why all across the board in all those reviews for Hellblade 2, they mentioned the fact that Ninja Theory is an Xbox studio. It really shouldn't matter. I mean, if you really look at it, at the end of the day, does it matter who owns the company that is making the game, or is it the game itself that matters?
Correct.
I don't know.
The content that they're actually reviewing should be the only thing. And at most, the extension of maybe comparing a previous title, but even still, you still should focus mainly on reviewing the title at hand and not what it should be or could be or would be, as far as like your hopes, wishes, or desires. But unfortunately, we don't see the gaming medium take that approach in a lot of cases.
Yeah, it's like you never get the personal feeling out of it.
Far Cry game. Yeah.
Exactly, that's another one. Okay, and this is like, this happens with the hype of games before release as well, and certain conversations that get brought up, and it tends to spread, right? This happened with Far Cry 6. When Far Cry 6 was revealed and shown as being, hey, this is a Far Cry, everybody's like, I'm so sick of the formula of Far Cry. Why is this another Far Cry game? And I'm like, well, it's Far Cry. You know, like, they are literally the ones that kind of invented the first-person shooter open world kind of based gameplay that a lot of other games copied after that, right? And they were being knocked for being too much of what they are as a game franchise, and that got spread around. Yeah, I understand pushing things forward and innovating, all that kind of stuff, but like, that controlled the narrative. And when is in people's minds so much because of that, all the conversation with games media, that I think it can get in people's heads when they're playing it. Oh, this is just another Far Cry. I'm sick of it, right? As opposed to like, hey, this is the biggest Far Cry I've ever played. Has the most of this. It's super fucking smooth. It has co-op. It fully featured at launch. Optimized out the ass, right? There's so many different great factors there. It just gets overlooked, and that happens with a lot of games. It just depends. It's the pick and choose mentality of what are we going to be upset and focus on today, much like what's going on today with Doom, where everybody's deciding to be upset today that Doom might go multiplat, or that Doom's probably going to PlayStation, when we were already speculating on the fact that was a good, decent possibility like a couple years ago, even after the ZeniMax Bethesda acquisition. But now it's because of this whole thing shift with Xbox and Microsoft, and now all the conversation that we see out there with the showcases, there's a cloud over it. There's a cloud over it. I do not know how many times I have seen this or heard this from on different podcasts and seen in different articles and different things. You know, it's like there's a whole cloud over this showcase because they have a lot of unanswered questions about their direction of the company and what's going to happen and stuff. And I'm like, we just spent like an hour earlier breaking down all the crazy shit that Xbox is doing and potentially has for them in the next year and a half. Like, then we're talking about clouds. fuck, it's sunshine and rainbows for me, man. Like, not everything's perfect, but for games, what it's supposed to be about.
If you just accept what's happening, like if you just accept what's happening, that's why we've been critical. We will be critical of things we don't agree with, but at the end of the day, this is the evolution that we all talked about for years, right? Maybe it's not going down the way we thought it would go down, right? You can go back and watch our shows from years ago where we talked about them competing 1-for-1 with Sony, potentially flipping this generation, potentially reaching 50 million plus Game Pass subscribers before now. Like, we talked about all that when we thought, when the original vision was that, hey, we're going to acquire and we're doing, exclusives. Like, we're going to use Game Pass as the driving factor. We're going to get people subscribed to our ecosystem. Like, that's what we were on, right? But when that started shifting, and when you hear Phil say, we're third place in the console, nothing's going to change that. Like, we're just like, that's when you see all this stuff, if you can't accept it, that they are evolving, then I can understand why you would say, oh, there's going to be a cloud. Well, that's you personally. There is going to be a cloud. I said it right away after the podcast that they had where they, talked about the 4, games going. I said right away, I said, yeah, now every showcase, every direct, when a game's announced, if they don't say it's multiplat, right, which I'm not expecting them to do with the showcase, by the way, I think it's going to just be Xbox. The multiplat information will come out afterwards. But I said, there will be a question on every game now. Like, that's on them. Like, this is what they've set up. There will be a question about every game if it's going multiplat. But again, at the end of the day, if you understand that they're not going backwards, they're not going to change what they're doing, then you got to look at, okay, why am I with Xbox? Well, I'm with Xbox for every single reason that we've already laid out to you for 3 years straight. That has not changed at all. Again, the minute they tripled down on Game Pass, day and date, all first-party titles, that's all I needed to hear. Like, okay, I don't agree with you guys, but I'm here. But the people that don't, Mav, and the people that want to continue to push the narrative, or the people that, again, we talked about this, I think there is a whole disgruntled group of people out here, not just Xbox gamers, but gamers in general. There's a lot of people, especially when you talk about the podcasters, you talk about the media, you talk about these people that do this for a job, for a living. There's a bunch of people who are no longer happy with this hobby, and you could tell they're burnt out, and you could tell that has twisted their internal feelings about it. So yeah, this is just going to be one more thing. Like, now we got to talk about the multiplat. Yeah. Now look at the Xbox. So yeah, they're probably going into the showcase feeling this way, but for the rest of us, fucking kids, man, we're getting more games than ever from one company. Like, this is super exciting. But yeah, I think that's a little bit what's happening in the community right now, why we hear about it like that, because you can't take what's happening seriously and accept what's happening seriously and then say there's going to be a cloud. Because again, if you're in Xbox and you are with the ecosystem, however it is, whether through your PC or whatever, I don't care. Console does not matter. If you are in the ecosystem and you are a Game Pass subscriber and you're one of those people who believe that Game Pass is the greatest deal in gaming, that has not changed. And in fact, we're seeing it grow, like, that value exponentially just by looking at the lineup they're going to have. And that showcase is going to solidify that.
Yeah, 100%. I want to bring this up. This was from Timang Fu. It says, didn't you guys knock PlayStation games like Spider-Man 2 and God of War Ragnarok for being more of the same?
Yeah.
Well, I didn't knock Spider-Man for being more Spider-Man or God of War for being more God of War.
No.
I knocked PlayStation for not having enough variety in their lineup, and all their games in their lineup were all kind of like this same style of game for a long time. And we wanted more variety in their lineup. And like I was just talking about in the chat, like, same way we criticize our Xbox for not having enough of those kind of games also, right? Which now they just dropped Hellblade 2, so that fills that. Helldivers 2 helps, and the other aspect for PlayStation, right? I don't want God of War to not be God of War. I don't want I don't want Helldivers to not be Helldivers. I don't want any of those games, Spider-Man to not be Spider-Man, or Horizon to be Horizon. They have their fan bases and audiences, and those games are going to be what they are. But there's more than one style of game, that people are fans of. And PlayStation used to have a lot more variety in their lineup than they did this last generation. And that's what a lot of us were critical of. And I'm glad they're moving in the other direction. Now we still got to keep some of those games that the PlayStation diehards have been trained to think are better than everything else and love, right? And hopefully they reveal some more soon, because right now there's looking really dry there. But you got to do a little bit of everything, I think. Like, don't be a one-trick pony.
And nice.
You like
another
that?
Dad joke. Another dad joke. I love it. And again, the other thing that I think we've all said too is if we were to like review a game, and even if we were like, I've said this multiple times, so I'll just speak for myself, but I think everybody else here is included too. As a reviewer, if I was reviewing games, if that was my gig, right, I'd be able to pull myself away from the fact that maybe the game wasn't exactly what I wanted it to be. If it's still a good game, I can look at a God of War Ragnarok, even though I don't have an interest in playing it, or Spider-Man 2, again, no interest in playing it, but I can see why people think they're good games, to great games.
Yeah,
I can see 100%. Why people enjoy them. And if I was a reviewer and I was like actually going to play those games, even if it was something that wasn't up my alley, I certainly would give my final paragraph opinion like, hey, it just wasn't the game for me. But objectively, I could look at those games and score those games and be like, no, this is graphics great. You know, combat, awesome. Like, I could legitimately do that, even if it was a game that ultimately didn't hit for me. That's the difference that we talk about too. So I don't know where he was going with that, but if that was a part of that conversation as well, that's the thing that reviewers used to be able to do, that you saw more of. And again, I don't have rose-tinted glasses. Were there bad reviewers back in the day? Of course there were.
Yeah, it would be wrong for me for them to detract points away from God of War Ragnarok for being too much of the same style of game that PlayStation keeps making, right? You know, it's in and of itself a fantastic game. You judge it for what it is, but the different conversation is looking at PlayStation, not at the individual game for the review, and having a discussion about that. I would, if anybody put in a review about same old shit from PlayStation, and I'm sick of this, knock at 3 points, that would be fucking horrible, right? But you can still have a different discussion on a podcast, like, hey, we would like to see more variety from PlayStation, as much as in 2022 we were saying, hey, we would like to see more games from Xbox. Right? Like, it's just, you got to look at the situation for what they are and always be able to have the conversations that are at hand, depending on what's the reality of the gaming space is. And I think sometimes people try and gatekeep conversation too much. I made a tweet the other day, or today, this morning. It's like, I can't stand this when somebody makes a point of conversation, or they try and shut down conversation, and they say like, y'all need to stop talking about, or nobody should talk about. Whatever you say after that sentence, I don't care, right? Like, if there's something that people feel like is worth a discussion, let them talk about it, right? And it doesn't make sense to like say, oh, you can't talk about this because of that, or can't talk about that because of this, or whatever. That's never the reality of where we should be, right? The whole conversation we've been having about games media, we've been having for years, right? It's not just about Xbox. I had to go back and look at the shows where we had huge rants about Jedi Survivor and how EA got a free pass at the launch of that game. Listen to our shows about Hogwarts Legacy and how we thought it was unfair how they were treated as well at launch, right? Yeah, we had the conversations about Starfield. Yeah, now we're having conversations about Hellblade 2. But it's not the people that are giving it like fair criticism. It's the people that are out there going overly ridiculous, and it seems very weird, you know, to go in that direction, right? For a game that pushes things forward in so many different categories. And when it comes to variety in games too, that's something we've been asking for PlayStation for a long time, and been adamant that that's one of my favorite things about Xbox. We spent an hour earlier talking about all the games coming in the next year and a half or so. Fuck, it's so many different genres, dude. It's amazing. You got shooters, you got like third person action games, you got like fucking Blade, like is going to be coming in the next few years.
RPGs,
like, Fable, like it's like it's everything under the sun, bro. It's amazing. That's great for gamers, right? And but also counts against Xbox.
Correct.
Because when they released one of these games, it didn't move the needle.
Because it's not what's popular with the other crowd. It's because the other crowd legitimately, sure, they can like other games, especially when it comes from their first party, but the vast majority think that after last generation, that the only games that are worthy of those titles are actually, in fact, the games that Sony makes, which is the third person over the shoulder narrative cinematic experience. That's, again, what has become popular, at least here for sure, not the masses. We can look at what the masses play and say that nobody gets it. Even close.
What's actually player numbers,
video game industry. Yeah, what's going on in the video game industry. But when we just look at that, that's what they like, right? That's what they've deemed popular. That's what moves the needle, is those types of experiences. And if there's one thing that obviously Xbox hasn't had a whole lot of, is that experience. Hellblade 2 comes out though, and you see what happens. Damned if you do, damned if you don't. Yeah. Again, now it's too short.
Too art house.
Now, not enough combat. Yeah, too boutique.
Too artistic.
Yeah, too artistic. Right? Walking simulator again. Right? Again.
It's not a real game. It's not really.
It's not a real.
Remember when people were saying this about Flight Sim? It's not a game.
Yeah. It's not a real game. Flight Sims is not Sims, even though Sims are some of the most popular genre now. There's a sim for freaking everything, but Flight Sim, oh no, that's not a real game.
Yeah, it got high scores, but it's not a game.
Not a real.
They want to get credit for that. It's not a game. It's a sim.
Yeah. And Hellblade 2 is just a tech. Yeah. Get the fuck
Hellblade. God, man. It's amazing, dude. It's amazing.
It is, but again,
Astrobot was a tech demo.
Yes.
But but
it's still, I would consider it a freaking game.
Controller demo. I don't know. It's a controller.
It's got mini games in it, right?
Yeah.
Again, there's games in, like I said, we have a whole genre of video games that are graphic novels. That is a genre within the video game where it is just a novel in graphic form on your screen. But we have a genre. People release games all the time in that genre, and nobody says boo.
What's a genre?
Hey, Helldivers 2 is an RPG.
I thought there was only one kind of game, bro.
Yeah, there is only one type of game. Again, if it's not a movie, if it can't be turned into a movie by Sony, then it's not a fucking game, I guess is where we're at in a lot of people's minds. Again, all this discussion is ridiculous. It always will be this way.
Condo.
Goalposts will always move. Condo. If Xbox came out and talked about Condo, it would be meme to death. Just fucking listen. It is what it is.
Did Hellblade 2 have enough Condo for you?
Yes. It had beyond Condo. It was the definition of Condo. It was Condo in its purest distilled state.
Psycho's in the chat and he just put a bunch of mushrooms.
Oh God!
You're getting started too early, man. Dave hasn't even started performing yet.
For Psycho, his tolerance level, he's got to start early.
Yeah, you're right. He's probably gonna have like a 2-day head start. It's like
like what he probably took right now is what he takes before our show, just to get warmed up.
He probably puts mushrooms in his fucking eggs for breakfast.
Oh, he does. He does. Yeah. He does. But yeah, I think the whole conversation is ridiculous. It's something that, again, it's at this point there is no changing that conversation. Really, it is always going to be everybody against. Again, I don't care. I'm a conspiracy theorist. I don't care. It's going to be the vast majority of people out there, not the vast majority. I'll say a large portion of people out there that are in the mainstream journalism and obviously in this community because of the popularity of PlayStation, because of the popularity of Nintendo, Xbox, and Microsoft are the uncool kids. They are the unwanted kids of this industry and will continue to be that way. And people treat it that way. Goalposts moving all the time, no matter what. It won't matter what they do. And like I said last night, Xbox just has to realize this, lean into it, and tell everybody to F off and just go do your thing. And it's not going to matter. Nothing is going to change that. Nothing. It's crazy, but that's the way it works with popularity. We're back to high school and grade school again. Never changes for some people.
Yeah.
Whatever. Whatever, man.
So I saw this today as well from first off, do you have any other, before we move on, do you have any other thoughts about Hellblade 2, Fuzzy, like besides the, like, in general?
Oh, it's an amazing game. Love the first one. I would say I gave that like an 8.5. This one for 2 is a 9. 3 distinct combat scenarios or leading up to combat that I particularly enjoyed. Not going to spoil anything, but I love the combat of this better. Yes, you could have enemies sneak up behind you and you'd have the voices tell you, oh, look behind you and stuff. But the combat in 1 felt a lot easier. And I like the fact that they made the combat a little bit trickier as far as the timing, as far as the parrying and stuff. It makes it feel like each fight could be your last one kind of thing. Yes, it can be easier if you keep it on dynamic, because if you start screwing up a lot, you're not going to completely die kind of thing. But like, I do like the fact that there is adjustability where the enemies follow a pattern, but the timing of the pattern will differ a bit. And I'm finding out now that timing your focus at certain points, instead of blocking stuff that's flying at you, you can catch it and throw it back. So there's other mechanics that they don't really explain in the combat, which I'm really looking forward to putting this on my PC or downloading it on my PC and just doing a whole bunch of like random combat scenarios. Because now it looks like there is more to it, but you have to really get better with the timing on the focus stuff and your parrying stuff, and just have fun with it. Like I as silly as it sounds, and I know a lot of people are like, oh, this should have been more like God of War. No, it's fine just the way it is. But I would say if they ever decided to take the combat and make it where that's just a focus, like it's a nightmare, like Senua is caught in a nightmare and all you're doing is basically going through battle from enemy to enemy kind of thing, I'd be for that. But I'm probably going to be doing some videos or some clips on Twitter on my PC on that, because it's fun. Like it's stressful and fun at the same time. And some of these enemies are like I said earlier, the level of detail on them is unbelievable. And that's the part that makes it even better. It's like, this looks like real life, but it's an actual game. You know it's a game because if you stand there, you're going to get whacked. Or if you purposely move in certain directions, like you have full control. And I like the tighter camera stance and everything that they've done with this. But yeah, I'm still amazed at the people that said they love the first one and like hate this one. Like, I can understand you wanting to see improvements, but there are improvements in every way, shape, and form. But the group that gave it a 95 for the first one and a 45 for this one just feels like there's something else to their review. It's not that it's a 50-point difference. Like, even if you didn't like this one at all, it's still a functional game. Like what
optimized
you guys
really
were saying
well
earlier
too.
about, like with Vikings, score sheet, this would, help prevent the ridiculousness of this, because like 45 should be reserved for a game that's broken, that doesn't function on the most basic level. Like 60 would be like, okay, it's functional, but it's not good, or it's not
tons of bugs, still tons
of
bugs, right? Broken,
or like graphics are just whatever. It's fine. It's fine. You can play it.
Just a mediocre AA game, like
but maybe like you personally enjoy it a lot, but like it's still like for the merits of it. That's kind of like the way it used to be.
Yeah, that's the way it used to be. And to your point, Fuzzy, I hope that Ninja Theory does. I've said it. I said it when they first did this. I was hoping this was going to be a bigger game. Not that it would have combat necessarily like God of War, that it would have more combat. I think they definitely upped the combat game immensely. But if Ninja Theory ever decides to do something else, I want them to try to do something else again. This is the team that made Heavenly Sword. This is a team that made Devil May Cry, DMC Devil May Cry. Like, they can do that type of combat, right? They certainly have the ability to go out and make a game like that if they ever decide to do it. This is what they wanted to do. Then they wanted to create Senua's experience this way. And so it is their game. Like I said, if you want to call them a boutique studio, that's fine. But this is exactly what they did. But they didn't half-ass this in any way, shape, or form. You can see the resources that Microsoft and Xbox gave them. You can see the technology that they gave them. This game, again, I don't know how anybody's not pointing this out, for using Unreal Engine 5, right? For using some of the tech in Unreal Engine 5 that no other studio has used to date to this degree. In a game in 2024 with this much realism, there are no bugs in this game. There are no bugs. There has not been a hiccup anywhere, at least on console, because I still haven't tried it on PC. There has not been a hiccup anywhere. How is not anybody praising this? Like, this studio optimized the hell out of this game. At least for the consoles, they did. Series S screenshots that I'm seeing right now, ridiculous. That little potato suddenly is using one of the worst engines so far this gen as far as optimization goes on the consoles, and it's performing beautifully for a $300 next gen console, current gen console. That potato is showing everybody what happens when your devs actually put the resources and time and make it a priority. All of a sudden, the Series S is just fine. Crazy, man. Crazy, but Ninja Theory isn't getting any credit for that either. It's wild, man. It's wild.
Yeah. I'm going to put a poll in the chat just for Lights, because I keep seeing him make this same argument every show that we've been doing this week.
Oh, really?
About the 45 being slightly below mid. Which, if you just say score-wise, 50 is middle level and 45.
Why did you put yes or no there? That doesn't make any sense for your.
Oh, hold on, I gotta. Let me redo.
Is 45 slightly below mid or trash?
Yeah. Okay. Is 45? I forgot to edit the actual answers. 45 slightly below mid or trash? Slight below mid. Trash. I mean, in general, in a history of gaming, 45 has been reserved for broken games.
Yes.
Just trash, straight up trash. Now, if you could look at it subjectively, maybe that's not the way it should be, right?
Right.
But that's not the reality of the world that we've lived in for the last 20
just like
years.
Like a 7 should be bad.
30 years, 40 years.
But 7 is now bad to a vast majority of people.
Yeah, 100%.
A 6 is trash to everybody for the most part now. And again, I don't agree with that, because I've certainly played a lot of 6 AA games that I enjoy the hell out of more so than even some of the big AAA stuff. So Mav and I both have. I've played 40 games that I've enjoyed from back in the day, right? Mav and I bring it up all the time.
100%. I've liked bad games too. And I can look at it and be like, objectively, I see all the problems with this game. It's a bad game, but I still enjoy it personally. Right?
Still like it.
But yeah, I can still review it accordingly, saying this is a bad game, but I'm still liking it. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Because of broken graphics, broken bugs, like all these, like Two Worlds. Okay?
Yes.
Two Worlds? I couldn't give that higher than a 6, right? If I was to actually review it for like being objective, right? But I fucking loved that game. You know what I mean?
So did I. You and I both.
And like, it had so many problems. So many
problems. World. Think about this, everybody. Two Worlds. If anybody remembers Two Worlds, it was an Oblivion ripoff. Okay, it was when everybody started chasing Bethesda. There was a bunch of AA studios chasing Bethesda. Two Worlds was broken in a lot of ways. It had so many bugs. It was lifeless in a lot of ways, but it had its moments with its classes and its magic, right? That on Metacritic, 44 critic reviews on the Xbox 360 is sitting at a 50.
Yeah.
So you're telling me Two Worlds is a 50, like according to 44 people, and some dude had the gall to rate Hellblade 2 a 45, right? And then you're going to come in here and say that that's just slightly below mid. Two Worlds was considered trash by a lot of people.
So mid,
not me and Mav.
Right. If you just talk about between 1 and 100, 50 is mid. But when it comes to games, that's not generally how they've been perceived. And like, you could even say movies. If a movie gets a 4.5 on IMDb, I'm not thinking, oh, that's a mid movie. Like, I'm thinking that movie's probably fucking trash. I ain't watching it. Right. Like, and just general perception. That's my point of. That's the point of the poll here. And general perception of it is different than like overall what the score necessarily you would think would mean. But like, it's always been that way. It's always been like that, right? Like, if for movies, if you look at a movie like that's a 6, that's probably like a mid. Like it's looking pretty decent. Yeah, probably pretty good. Or anything above 5, I was like, it's probably watchable or whatever, But like 6, okay. 7's like, hey, it's good, right? 8's 8 point something is on IMDb or anything for user scores for movies is like reserved for like the best movies ever. Like, so it's even more critical there, right? But even below 50 there means trash, even in a more critical environment. Right. So you talk about gaming where there's all these different metrics and stuff to judge these games on based other than just like personal enjoyment level, like movies get scored on. You are discounting and not giving credit to the actual achievements that were made with the game. It's a disservice to the industry. It's a disservice to the developers, to anybody that advances things forward like that, to put a score relative to it that is reserved usually for broken shit things, right?
Yeah.
That's the point, right?
Poison, there's different levels of trash. That's why there's a 1 through 4. There's different levels of trash. There is trash that has redeemable qualities. It's like moldy bread, right? Yeah. You can have a loaf that is completely moldy, right? The entire thing. Or you could have one that's just started to get mold and you can cut around it and you could still eat it, right? So there's redeemable qualities to trash. And that's where the 1 to 4 comes in.
And what matters most is the perception. Okay.
Because I've played, again, 40 score games that are good. Yeah. That I enjoyed.
Exactly.
Broken, but I enjoyed them.
Right.
Yes.
And that's the point. That's the point of this poll. The perception is for most people, and I think, is that something receiving that score is garbage. Yes. Right. And that's the issue I take with those kind of things, right? Anyway, we got almost 40 votes, about almost 70% says 68% says it is trash for a 45, or slightly below mid has 32%.
Yep.
So there you go. Now 68%. Is that enough to say that definitively I'm right? I wouldn't say so. But
Buzz, you're lucky. You never probably been broke in your life. I'm just saying, bachelor pad days, priorities all screwed to hell. One piece got a little bit of mold on it, right? Chuck the piece. The rest is still good until it starts showing signs of mold, or I have cut off the quarter if it's gotten moldy. If that's down to my last piece of bread, I've done it. Don't care. Oh man. Yeah, exactly, David. If Starfield says 83, Starfield has an 83 Metacritic, why does everybody say it's trash? Again, that's the bar has been moving in the wrong direction when it comes to that.
Ghost of Tsushima
for a long time. Right, not Ghost of Tsushima. Again, that's a totally different story. And it's so dumb, okay, David, but this is the problem because it's been moving in the wrong direction. Like the people out here that want to gatekeep everything in this industry have been moving it so that even 8s, right? Even 80 scores, right? Unless it's high 80s now, game's not worth it. That is a problem, right? And that was started with Nintendo and Sony getting constantly highly rated games, whether or not they were deserving, right? And it pushed the bar in a direction where all of a sudden, again, you guys are gamers, but you guys have a specific thing that you really like. I do not game the same way you do. I try games of all quality levels, from all sizes, all different types. Like, that's how I game. But there's an elitist group out here that has been formed that has now started that narrative. Yeah. And again, it's not for the masses, right? It's not the masses. It's this community, basically, is what it comes down to. But there's an elitist group of gamers now who think that anything below high 80s is now trash, which is obviously beyond false.
Like Robert Hart says, like Greg Miller saying that Hellblade 2 is not a win for Microsoft, right?
Right. It's ridiculous. And he scored that a 6, right?
Right. So, like, here's the thing. Like, does what Greg Miller or the person that rated it at 45 affect my own perception of the game or my own value in the game or what I enjoy? No. Right? I'm going to play it regardless and judge it for myself.
Right.
But you will be naive to think that those things and that conversation that spread around there by people saying things like it's not a win for Microsoft and big games media, by people saying, when is Microsoft going to get a win? Right? Like another failure for Microsoft or this game is a 45 does not have an impact on the potential success of games, especially from platform holder like games that are kind of marketed for a brand kind of like Microsoft and Xbox, right? It has an overall impact not only on the game itself, but also on the ecosystem that they're pushing, right? So the perception that is created because of those things has a massive impact, and it has for a long time. Mm-hmm. That is why we talk about it, right? Mm-hmm. Not because, it
affects us personally.
Yeah, fuck you, you didn't like my game.
Nope.
Right?
No.
That's a big misconception when we have these conversations, right? Same conversation on the opposite end of the spectrum when we talked about other games that we said you overlooked all this shit, but you don't overlook it. It's like even playing field objectivity is important in general, right? Especially from games media. And we're not even games media here, right?
No.
But it's like the games media themselves should be having this conversation, not us.
And instead, they all defend each other, which is crazy. Again, it's not all of them. And again, not all of them do bad work. Again, like I said last night, there's plenty that do good work. There's some dudes who I really expect and gals that I really respect in the industry as journalists go. And I think they do a fair job.
Yeah.
But they all rally around each other too, which is another problem. They won't have honest discussions. This is a problem with all mainstream media. Okay, this happened long ago on the political side of things.
It's important what Snowbike Mike said on that.
Right,
on that
right,
show, right?
Exactly. The pushback is necessary. These discussions, honest discussions, need to happen within these big corporations like IGN that now owns everything on the journalism side, basically in gaming. These conversations have to have, but they don't. They rally around. You saw the comments coming out from the journalists saying that, we need to protect ourselves. All the journalists, the layoffs that happened after IGN made their acquisitions, right? The journalists, instead of talking about the talking about the layoffs as the impact that it has, like they do when any studio does it, they instead, some of them decided to turn and say, these layoffs are bad because we need to have all the professional journalists that we can get because encroachment from the YouTubers, the non-professionals, is increasing.
With no training.
They started with that whole disinformation thing like they started on other parts of the
we need to be trained to be able to talk about games. Everybody.
Get the fuck out of here. These people are fucking stupid. Yeah.
Yeah,
they're scared.
Let's all go to like podcasting credibility training school, like so we can actually have where's the course that we take for discussing video games? I'm sure there's podcast classes out there, but does it change my actual knowledge of the gaming industry or what I've experienced over the last almost 40 years of fucking gaming? No, that's why when we talk here, we say what we think and what we feel, even if some people don't like it or not, right? But it's just hilarious.
All they do. That's all they do. So here's the thing, journalists. What you can do is, because you are professional journalists, because you actually do have more access than many of us do on this side of the fence, right? You guys have special access granted to you, to the devs, to the studios, to the games. Why don't you guys go back to doing exactly what you're supposed to do, which is actual, real journalism, investigative journalism, right? As much as people hate on Schreier, there should be more Schreiers out in this industry digging in and finding out what's actually going on in some of these dev studios. Why don't we have more of that instead of more editorials and opinion pieces and more reviews all the damn time? Go do what you guys have access to do that we don't. Otherwise, you're no different than us, because all you guys do is write editorials and go on shows and speak opinions just like we do. And in fact, most of you dumbasses in the industry as professional journalists don't even keep up to date with the actual news that's happening. Most of you have no idea what the current discussions around video games are. Most of you are 3 months behind on your discussions when I watch your professional shows. You guys don't even keep up current with the industry that you're so protective of, that you suggest you love so much and have the same passion that us that do this every day for free have. But in fact, you don't. You show it every single time. So why don't you go do your jobs, the stuff that you were trained to do? Oh, that's right, because you journalists don't do that anymore. It's too much work. You don't want to go in and do the dirty work and dig into these stories and find the stories that none of us would be able to ever get. You don't want to do that because, in fact, you don't have the passion for this industry that a lot of us do. In fact, most of you are just collecting a paycheck because you couldn't get a job in the fields that you really wanted, covering the news that you really wanted to do, and gaming just so happened to be exploding at the time and becoming popular. So you said, oh, I guess I'll just get a job doing gaming journalism. I can act like a gamer.
Well said.
Very true.
Man, yeah, I don't know how to add anything else to that. So I wanted to touch on this a little bit, getting back to the what to expect at the showcase a little bit, and then we'll call it after this. Supposedly, another thing that came out today is Avowed and Indiana Jones are going to be in playable form after the show for a preview event. So I think that adds credibility to those games are for sure actually dropping this year. They're not going to be pushed back or anything like that. And then we can also probably count on, obviously, those games being at the show, like we had already predicted beforehand. So just in these games alone, we can count on Avowed. We can count on Indiana Jones. We can count on Doom. And we can count on, according to Tom Warren, Gears of War. I'm pretty fucking hyped. Even just those 4 games is more exciting things for a roadmap than Sony's revealed in the last 2 years.
You didn't like baby steps?
No. I'm sure it'll be funny, right? But not necessarily something I'm looking forward to. But yeah, did that add, you think that these games are great shape? They're going to release this year for sure, Fuzz, when you saw that report?
Have I had my camera turned off the whole time?
Yeah, it's been off for a while.
Why did you guys say something?
Well, I thought you were went shirtless naked? Or something.
Yeah, I'm Steel Rain. It's like Midnight Steel around here. I'm just getting naked.
I didn't know if you had you needed to pick your nose or what was going on.
I didn't have Discord up, so I didn't notice that YouTube was so far behind that I still saw myself. So I was like, I didn't even think about it. I just flipped over to Discord right now, and I was
you've been disappeared for 10 minutes at least, maybe 15.
Sorry, y'all. I was doing my whole hand gestures and talking to the camera like I normally do on my rant. So whatever. Sorry, guys.
Raph says, I noticed most of this show is just crying about what other people think about Xbox. Yeah. Did you miss the Hell section? We talked about everything coming for Xbox in the next
hype train?
Year and a half. This is Xbox Ultimate Podcast, so generally the conversation is going to be about Xbox. But yeah, there's extra conversation this week, Raph, because we had a big first-party game drop. and there's conversation to be had about games media. But yeah, generally we talk about perception of people and issues that we see, and we criticize Xbox when it's necessary as well. If you were to tune in, Raph, 2 weeks ago, Fuzz, we weren't too popular in the Xbox community, right? Because we were critical of Xbox for closing studios down, despite what other people said it didn't matter and stuff. We thought it did, you know. So it just depends on what's happening that week, man. This is an ongoing conversation. This is Xbox Ultimate. We're going to talk about fucking Xbox. Anyway, what do you think about the those 4 games, and especially those 2 adding credibility? I think they're on track.
Yeah, I think if they're going to have them as a playable demo for the games media, that means that these things are going to more than likely be readily available before 2024, ceases, type of thing. So having that be one of, why is my phone? Damn it, Google. Anyway, no, but yeah, having those games readily available for demo for the gaming media, I think is going to be a positive sign that those things are ready to ship before this year is out. With the leaks for Doom and the leaks for Gears of War 6, hey, that at least gives us some sense of some of the things to expect there. I think we're all kind of also thinking about like Perfect Dark and stuff like that as well. Maybe State of Decay 3. I still think that one's a little bit later, but the fact that Indiana Jones, like I didn't think that game would be so soon, but then again, they were probably working on it before the acquisition to some extent.
Yeah.
So that explains some of the timing in comparison to Starfield, for example. But Avowed, I know there were a lot of people who were like, yeah, it'll probably get pushed to 2025, and I'm kind of glad to see that maybe that's not the case, especially with a playable demo at the showcase. So looking forward to it. The only thing, and I may mention this on Boom Show earlier, the only thing I'm not looking forward to, and this will probably go into what one of the people in the chat were saying before, the games media, the same ones that, just in some cases poo-pooed on Hellblade 2. I can only imagine the nitpicks or the mental gymnastics that someone will probably do when it comes to Indiana Jones and Avowed. Like I can totally see them bringing up the whole motion sickness thing. And I joked earlier about maybe they should hand out doggy bags. Hell, yeah. You made mention that you were going to be, motion sick because of being first person. Here's your doggy bag before you play, kind of thing. So I think that should be something that's looked at as far as I know people at Xbox don't keep receipts on the journalists as far as what they say about their games, but I just think that would be like a funny party trick or something like that for those that complained about, oh, why is it first person? Yeah, here's your brown paper bag so you can hurl in it while after playing, the demo or whatever. And then when it comes to Avowed, they're going to be like, oh, is this Elder Scrolls Light? And I just, that's the only thing I'm not looking forward to, because it just seems like some of the gaming media just always find a nitpick no matter what. If it has Xbox associated with it, it's getting nitpicked to the nth degree. Is this a win for Xbox? Will they be able to release this on time? When will they release all these games that they've been... You're here to play the demo. Is the demo playable? Are you having fun? Okay, move on, kind of thing. But that's the only thing I'm not looking forward to. But from the standpoint that those things will be ready before the end of the year, or should be ready before the end of the year, it's a positive sign. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, right on, man. What about you, Pong? Those games are for sure probably launching this year. Avowed and Indiana Jones.
Yeah, I've said all along, I think that's going to be the lineup, and I think that Tom Warren and others, Brad Sams, have been right on with their feelings about where it's going to be. Obviously, they have a little bit of knowledge too, but how the lineup shake, unless something were to happen. Again, we already know that Xbox isn't scared to push games if necessary, but it sounds like that they are very confident with this lineup in the second half, and it sounds like these games are going to be ready, especially like you said, now that we got word that there's going to be previews afterwards for especially Avowed and Indiana Jones, which are the 2 latest games of the year. So yeah, I think they're right on schedule. I think that they will have them out Again, could Indiana get pushed? Would it be absolutely shocking to me? No, it wouldn't be absolutely shocking to me if they pushed it, if something came up or if they needed more time. But I think that they are ready. So, yeah, no, it just adds to the freaking hype again that this second half of the year is ridiculous. I don't know how we're going to play all these games at the end of the year, especially when you throw in the third-party stuff, especially when you throw in the third-party, I should say, the big releases and the third-party stuff coming into Game Pass. Again, you throw Stalker 2 in there, you throw a Flintlock in there, you throw Replaced in there. I don't have enough time. There's not enough me's. There's not enough hours. So, yeah, no, this is incredible. It's great to hear because I can't wait to read the previews. I'm a guy who likes to read the previews. I want to, I like to see the behind the scenes. Again, another benefit that the mainstream journalists get. They get to see the games, get hands-on time with a lot of them prior to any of us. So I still go read that stuff because I do want to hear kind of because they don't really give a whole lot of opinions in those. They generally talk about exactly what they saw or what they got to play. And so, yeah, I'm excited for both of those games. Obviously, big old school Indiana Jones fans. I thought the game looked ridiculously good when they showed it off. I'm super excited to see what Machine Games is going to do with that. But obviously Avowed, as you guys know, I love Obsidian too. And I love Western RPGs. So Avowed, I think already looked good. Now we're getting word that potentially the latest build definitely looks even more improved than the last showing that they had. And if that's the case, all the better, because I already thought it looked great. I know some people didn't think so. Some people want the combat to suddenly be different combat than it has, just like Bethesda games. It looked good to me. I'm all about that stuff, so I'm excited. Those two big games are going to be huge for me at the end of the year. Can't wait.
Yeah. I'm excited, bro. This is going to be amazing second half.
Yes.
We are an Xbox podcast.
Mm-hmm.
That has people that prefer Xbox on it.
Yeah.
What?
I mean, we could be like the Sony shows that talk about Xbox all day. We could talk about PlayStation, and we could be critical of PlayStation and just rip them for 2 hours, right? Not talk about Xbox, right?
Interesting.
And I guess
it's weird how the concept works, bro. I don't understand.
I know it's okay for them to do that, but like not okay for us to talk about Xbox. And obviously this is a big week. If you guys aren't aware, right? The reason why the conversation is coming up about a lot of the stuff that we talked about is because of Hellblade 2 launching and because of the mixed reception with some ridiculousness and some of the comments out here and some of the talking points about Hellblade 2. So yeah, it's going to be a talking point around here, but we've got our segments about hype, and we went through the whole showcase and talking about 2020. In fact, we were talking about 2025 already.
Should we talk about something else other than Xbox and what's going on with Xbox?
That's what I'm saying. Let's talk about Sony's problems. Let's talk about Sony business show that they just
Fuzzy, you're on mute.
I'm on mute. We could talk about Xbox stuff from like 3 years ago. Maybe that would be relevant.
We could talk about the studio closures and keep going on about that for like people thought we were going to talk about all year, right? Because we talked about it the actual week that it happened. We could just discuss that every week. We could do that too.
Sousa, Double Fine should be there too. I'm expecting Double Fine. Me and Mav talked about that last night. That Double Fine, I'm expecting at least one of their games killing. I think that's gonna be that's got a potential to be shadow dropped, but I think that they could even show up and tease one of their other projects. They supposedly have 3 in the works, Kiln and then 2 other ones. I think they could tease one of their other IP at the showcase too. I think it'd be totally cool to see that.
And Jack Black is supposed to be in one of those other ones. So
yeah.
Yes.
So Cygnus asked, why did they make Avowed look like that? And my simple answer to that is nobody asked that question when Obsidian made Outer Worlds.
Right. Again, everybody has their own art direction. All these studios choose to make their art, the games that this is art. So it's always going to be subjective, whether you appreciate it. They chose to go that route with a brighter looking game and not going the dark route, and that's totally cool with me. Again, like there's
ultra realism or anything. They're going
no, that's not what they've ever been about. That's not what Outer Worlds was about, right? They're going to have different biomes too. They're going to have tons of different biomes. Some of them we haven't been able to see, right? So again, they've got, with the Pillars of Eternity universe, they've got a lot of directions they can go. There's a lot of lore that's already been rewritten. They just chose to go that route. That's Obsidian. So that's Obsidian's choice. And again, if you don't like it, you don't like it. I'm not here to argue over art about whether or not you should like it.
But the only reason people are asking that question is because it's an Xbox first party studio.
Sure. Right. Exactly. Of course.
Of course. We talked about that like last night a little bit about that and how it changes what people expect from studios that are being allowed to create what they want. Right.
Right. Yeah.
I think really, like you said last night, Pong, ultimately a lot of people just don't want them to create what they want. They want them to create certain things that are geared towards their idea of the big epic AAA masterpiece type game.
And Cygnus, if you're going that route as far as the original trailer for Avowed, I will agree with you.
Yeah.
The original trailer gave off a different vibe. We know for a fact that they reset development at one point. Take that how you want to take it, but there was a reset on Avowed. Avowed was supposed to be done earlier than this.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they did reset. Be the next one that gets dogged on like crazy, bro.
Of course it is. Oh, I'm already.
And for the same things that Outer Worlds was praised for.
Bro, if you're gonna if people are gonna dog on Starfield, they're certainly gonna dog on Avowed.
Yeah. Oh, just wait. Like,
it don't matter.
Outer Worlds was
it's
praised
too colorful
for all of these things.
It's not dark enough.
It was an achievement for Obsidian doing this amazing game called Outer Worlds and how they made this game and their vision and like it's amazing that a private division published this game and all this kind of stuff and like Obsidian was allowed to make this. When Avowed comes out, like, why does this exist?
Right.
They'll say why. That's what they will
They're going to have the same problems that it's not up to date enough, that it's 20, that this looks like their other Obsidian games, like this looks like Outer Worlds. Why
this is a tired
I don't
formula.
Care. They will ignore all the story building. They will ignore the choices and consequences that Obsidian is well known for. They will ignore the Pillars of Eternity freaking fantastic lore. They will ignore the class systems. They will ignore everything else about the game, and they will shoot for that, which is fine with me. Again, I'm already expecting it, and everybody in the Xbox community should. It's coming. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter even if it looks better than it did when they previewed it. It's not going to matter. People are going to dog the shit out of it. Just remember that if this game was multi-plat, that would not be happening. If this game was multi-plat, people would be waiting to play it because it is Obsidian, because a lot of people enjoyed Outer Worlds, and that would not be the case at all. So again, I'm super freaking hyped for Avowed. I don't care what anybody says. It's going to be a freaking dope ass game because Obsidian is right up there with Bethesda when it comes to story making, when it comes to character development, when it comes to making choices with actual consequences, all that stuff. Obsidian is freaking amazing.
Yeah.
No, I can't wait to play it.
And again,
I can dual wield wands. Fuck yeah, let's go.
Yeah. For anybody, maybe some people were new here and haven't heard any of the past conversations we've had. You know what I mean? But if you have been listening to us for a long time and don't understand the conversation about games media that we've been having numerous times for different different games, not just Xbox first party,
not just Xbox.
For anybody that thinks we only shill for our preferred platform. It is our preferred platform. I'm admittedly biased because I spend most of my time in the Xbox ecosystem, but I also have expectations for that, right? So anybody that thinks that we only shill, that has been here for a while. Anybody that thinks that we don't have these conversations about games media with other games stuff.
We are gamers.
Fucking Q-tip for you, motherfuckers. Take it.
We are gamers first and foremost. We are gamers first.
What was the other recent one? Suicide Squad?
Yes.
Yeah, it was like the games media had already made up their mind that they wanted an Arkham game, and it wasn't an Arkham game, so
they got it. Yep.
Rated it accordingly. It's like, okay.
Yeah, no, I mean, again, we talked about it. We talked about it because we played it, right? And we talked about it. It is a good game, right? Again, it's all subjective. I don't care what you want to say today, but objectively, Suicide Squad was a good game. If it wasn't the game for you, that's okay. We talked about its problems. again, I laid into Rocksteady. If you are a premier studio, you have made all these classic games. You are going to take this chance with this IP, whether it was forced upon you or whether it really was your decision, like you say it was. It does not matter. If your game comes out and it's based around a games as a service style, and you have an end game, and that end game is broken for a percentage of people that is already small because of a lot of different reasons, but not a lot of people were playing it, but the end game is broken. Like Jasper was broken. He could not play the end game unless he hopped into one of our games. And you do not make that a priority of your patch, your first patch. That is an issue on you. And they chose to fix things that did not matter at the end of the day when you have a game that is already climbing a mountain, trying to climb a mountain one-legged. Okay? It already had enough against it, but you don't go fix the end game. I laid into him for it, right? Again, we are fair. I know some people hate it. Some people claim that there is no neutrality. Again, like Mav said, he's biased towards Xbox. I'm biased towards Xbox this generation. I don't own a PlayStation 5, but at the end of the day, I'm a gamer. I don't care. I don't care what happens. If all these companies folded, as long as PC was still alive and there was a bunch of developers making PC games, I'd be in this hobby still playing and still be on podcasts talking about it. I don't give a shit where I play my games. It just so happens Xbox offers me the best of a lot of it and some of my favorite games. So
it's also why I don't give a shit that they put games other places. Like business wise, I can make an argument that they're make a mistake.
Editor wise, yeah, I want them to fight.
But like,
no,
fuck it, like it doesn't matter to me, like at all, right? So, and there'll be a lot of Xbox shows that do, and they hate it, you know.
Yeah, they hate it,
and they're going into the showcase with a cloud storming on them when there's going to be 40 games that are going to be shown to talk about that are going to be on Xbox. It's going to be a cloud because we don't understand.
Yeah, and I'm not burnt out on games, and I'm not burnt out on this hobby, and I'm not like that. I will be.
It's not in a rut.
Glass half full. No, it's not a rut. It's a golden age of gaming.
I thought it was in a rut. Everybody, just like a month ago, everybody said gaming was in a rut right now.
No, and I feel sorry for those people that do have specific tastes that aren't being catered to, or specific tastes that makes them think that modern gaming is no longer any good. I do believe that there are gamers out there that are being honest about that, and I do believe that there are some gamers who can't find games that they enjoy nowadays, or find very few games that they enjoy nowadays. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that they're lying, because that certainly is the case. I know plenty of people who play one type of game, right? We talk about casuals all the time. We only play Call of Duty and Madden every year. They're out there, right? So they exist. So I'm not going to say that they're lying. I'm just saying I am lucky. I feel blessed that I enjoy games of all different sizes, kinds, everywhere, because I am never short of a game. I haven't been short of a game, and now it's beyond. I am overfilled. Like, it's stupid how much gaming there is.
Games are coming out of our asses right now, man. They're like out of our ears, or eyeballs are exploding at this showcase. It's gonna be nuts. I can't wait. I can't wait, dude.
Yeah, Jesse. No, Jesse B, you probably missed the conversation earlier. We're accepting the fact that they're evolving and that some of their games are going to be multi-plat, because we were talking about Doom earlier. We talked about Hellblade 2. Mav and I had a long conversation about what a great freaking game it is, even if it's a game that I can't finish because it's too intense. For me, I could still sit back and say they freaking killed it. It was a crush. I mean, I called it a grand slam last night. It absolutely is. So, Jesse, maybe you missed that part of the conversation, but there's a group of people out here who cannot accept the fact that Xbox is now a multi-platform publisher. They have been for a very fucking long time, but specifically games going to PlayStation and then Nintendo. That is going to happen. And there's some people who can't accept that and think that there's a cloud because there's questions about every game at the showcase of whether or not it's going to be exclusive or not. And what we're saying is whether or not we agree with it, and we already had our shows where we don't agree with necessarily the strategy, specifically me, I don't agree with the strategy, but at the end of the day, they're not going backwards. So yeah, I'm going into the showcase with the same hype because, again, if it goes elsewhere, I don't care. I got Game Pass and it's coming date. I don't care. I'm going to be playing the game and I don't have to shell out $70 for each one.
So, Pong, mean this year you're going to be able to play Avowed on Game Pass day one?
Huh?
You mean this year you're going to get to play Avowed on Game Pass day one?
Day one, yeah. Day one.
So, you mean that this year you're going to get to play Indiana Jones on Game Pass day one?
Yeah.
You mean that this year you're gonna get to play Call of Duty on Game Pass day one?
Yep.
You mean that this year you're gonna get to play Ara History Untold on PC Game Pass day one?
Sure am. Excited.
Yeah. What about Towerborn? You gonna get to play that day one this year?
I am. Yep.
Wow.
All of it. All of it.
All of it.
All of it.
Flight
the whole
Sim.
slate.
You're gonna try out Flight Sim when it hits Game Pass day one?
Yeah. Yes.
Oh yeah.
It's a fact.
I mean, plus all the original
Plus all the Call of Duties are coming back into Game Pass.
Oh yeah, the back catalog for ABK. You're gonna play that in Game Pass?
Yep.
What about I already said Towerborn. Age of Mythology Retold. You gonna play that one on Game Pass day one this year?
Yeah, I am. I just noticed we got Jesse P and Jesse B in here. Now, all we do need, as you guys are talking about, is Jesse Darby in here as well.
Yeah, can we? Yeah, Jesse D. Can Jesse Darby just change his name to Jesse D?
Man.
Fucking insane what we're gonna get this year, bro. And next.
Yes. Oh,
So please,
I think they're already working on next gen's lineup.
Yep.
And keep up with this vision. I don't want it to. If everybody was saying, "Hey, maybe you should put Call of Duty in Game Pass," they went like, "Stop! Don't put it. Don't give them. Don't let them think it's okay." They already said they were doing it. We're consumers.
That's right. Johnny Ravioli, I agree. The Transformers games, and I want Marvel Ultimate Alliance, a deal cut for that. Transformers, I think, has a chance because Hasbro's open for business. They are starting their own game development now. Obviously, we found out they've got, 4 AAA studios now. They've invested over $1 billion already into gaming. They're coming they're coming into the scene strong. So if they're open like that, they waved and they said, hey, we're here. We'd love to see the Transformer games back again. There could be a deal where I think Phil could have gone to Hasbro already and started the licensing talks to get those games on backwards compatibility. So I think there's a real chance for the Transformer games. Marvel Ultimate Alliance needs to happen as well, for sure. 1,000%. Yep.
All right, everybody. Well, this was episode 187 of Xbox Ultimate Podcast, and we will be back next week with a full slate of shows. FSP, PM and the PM, and Xbox Ultimate if everything works out right, and then we'll be 1 week closer to showcase season. Man, when are we gonna do like our prediction shows and stuff?
No, Friday before, obviously.
Yeah, I guess so. But these leakers are leaking so damn much right now. It's like, what, we're gonna have anything left?
Yes. We're gonna see 40 plus games. We're gonna have games left, bro.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Still trying to get
what?
Go ahead.
30 plus more to go before they leak the showcase. So
that ain't happening. I can't even get 3-bit to tell me what the MMO is from ZeniMax Online.
Yeah.
He knows.
Yeah,
he keeps telling me he doesn't because he hasn't asked. And I said, that's BS.
That's
I said,
bullshit. He's probably seen it.
That's what I think. It's like, well, I could find out if I really wanted to. Yeah, he's like, I could find out if I really wanted to. I'm like, come on, 3-bit. Just tell me. I said all I need. Actually, I didn't even say that he needed to tell me exactly what it is. I just said I need to know if it's Star Wars or not because I need to prepare myself. I said it doesn't matter to me if it's not, but if it is, I need to know because I need to prepare myself. Because if we get a new Star Wars MMO, I don't know what I'm going to do on stream.
Yeah.
No.
But just okay, so what if they do these in succession, Pong? Will we survive if this happens? Like ZeniMax Online reveals a Star Wars MMO, followed by Gears Collection with a Mad World trailer, followed by Splinter Cell.
Oh my god.
From Ubisoft, which could end up showing up this year, at least at the Ubisoft Forward show. I don't know.
I don't know. I don't work. We might be done, Mav.
I might explode in my chair.
I might have to go off camera for a little bit and collect myself.
Yeah.
That's for damn sure. Because last year we were out of energy within the first 40 to 45 minutes. We were like tired.
Yeah, we were. We were like, dude, we kept saying that. Like, I was like, we're only 30 minutes in. How the fuck is this happening? Like, they may have another hour of this shit. And think they kind of like had a little time there where they kind of slowed down a little bit, you know?
A little bit. And then we still had to do the Starfield Direct, which was massive for all of us, actually. But it was like crazy, man. Like the hype.
You mean the Starfield Direct that they revealed exactly everything about how the game was going to work, and the games media seemed so excited about everything that they saw, and then they pretended like they didn't see anything about how the game was going to function after when the game launched because they thought it was going to be No Man's Sky? You mean that Starfield Direct?
Just like like Todd had never done an interview telling you what it was going to be. I don't know. In the lead up, even before the Direct, that one? We all had questions.
That Direct?
That we had. How many shows did you had Mavcast about it? We talked about it. Like, how many times did we go back through Todd's interviews and be like, he's told you what this game is. Why are people asking what this fucking game is? Like, he's told you. Mm-hmm. And then people acted like it was not the game they wanted, and that he somehow had overpromised again. It's like, what the fuck? Anyways, whatever.
Over anticipated or something, or just like you said, Mav. They needed those Q-tips or something. Just
people only listen to the ideas they have in their head, not what the people are actually know.
Yeah, well, we know that too.
So they're like Senua.
People who listen to podcasts do that a lot too. So whatever. We know that.
I appreciate each and every one of you guys, even though some people out there do need the Q-tips. It's okay. I appreciate you all. You guys are fucking amazing for even spending time here. I saw the mods are doing some work in the chat today. Great job.
Okay, season's coming around. There's a lot to get hyped about, and all of a sudden we don't normally have that. So shout out to the mods, man. But weird people start showing up again. Interesting. Yeah. Interesting.
Crazy. Yes, love it. You know what? You know what it means? Xbox is a threat. It's a threat. No,
it means one company has given their fans like literally nothing to talk about for nearly 2 years. Like, it's like crazy, man.
Yeah,
it's like it's
they've
first
given,
party one.
Xbox has given them plenty.
You don't
of time.
Get excited over a jiggly burger? I mean, come on. What's not to like about a burger?
So people are saying we might see Contraband and we might see Ghost of Tsushima 2 later this month. I will be super fucking happy for Ghost of Tsushima.
Not Contraband.
Not Contraband, Concord. Sorry, the Concord. Yeah,
I mean Contraband could be multiplat, but it's not gonna be the Sony show first.
Yeah, Concord.
Concord, yes.
Yeah. So
although everything's been pushed, all the games of service been pushed till 2025. So at least.
Well, at least they still have the Final Shape DLC coming.
They do have the Final Shape DLC. And I'm happy for the Destiny community who's all excited again. I'm happy for all of you.
Is anybody going to give Sony crap if they don't have any big games for the second half of the year? Like they gave Xbox crap for not releasing a game until May.
Why would they? They didn't for the whole year. They didn't have anything more. Yeah, they didn't. Yeah, that's what started now, right? Quality over quantity.
Yeah, less. That's what we want, guys. Remember. Us as consumers, we want less games. Yep. We want less games to play. All that matters is if we get something like a God of War every 3 years. I think every other game can just fuck off. Less is more, right? Anyway, all right, Fuzzy Belvedere, the one and only. Appreciate you, man of many podcasts. Where can people listen to your rambles and rants?
On Everything Gaming, on the app formerly known as Twitter at @fuzzy_Belvedere. Man, this was a fun episode. Love everybody in the chat. A few of you are not quite sure why you're looking to argue, but hey, appreciate you taking the time to check us out. But thank you, mods, for taking care of the chat as well. But as always, it's always a great time to be on here with you, Pong and Mav. Just love being in podcasts. Unfortunately, won't be able to do one tomorrow. Going with the wife to a drive-in movie. It's part of the trade-off. Dragged her around to a lot of NASCAR races, so now I go to see a horror movie at a drive-in. So won't be at the Shop Podcast tomorrow, but do check that out. 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Paul will give you the details on that next, and then check out possibly me and 3-Bit this Sunday, 8:30 p.m. for Pixelated Echoes on. Just do a search for Pixelated Echo on YouTube to check us out. Probably go over a lot of the Hellblade 2 stuff, our thoughts and opinions on it. And then on Monday, there will not be a Xbox lunch break special at 12 noon. Are we doing FSP Monday?
It's Memorial Day. It's a holiday, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, maybe not. Well, maybe we'll take a week off. I said yes before, but I wasn't thinking. Hey, no. We'll make it official. No FSP on Monday, everybody. We'll give Fuzzy the night off so he can grill some food for his family.
Really appreciate it. But yeah, everybody have a safe, happy weekend. Do some gaming. Definitely, if you haven't already, play Hellblade 2 and get the headphones. Unless it gets to you, then I can totally understand using TV speakers and stuff like that. But definitely check that game out. It's well worth the playthrough and worth the 1,000 gamer score at least. So
yeah,
that's all I got.
Appreciate you, bro. As always, Fuzzy Belvedere, and the encyclopedia of gaming dating back to the very first game ever created, and I haven't used that in a while. Pong Soul.
You haven't. You haven't. Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. Yeah. Great show. Great to spread some more condo tonight on the Fun Speculation Network. I hope you're all enjoying the condo that we are giving to the world. That is our new goal in 2024 is condo spreading. So we are spreading all the condo that we can. And we want you to all enjoy more condo in your lives. So
because with condo, you can do.
There it is. I was waiting for it, Mav, because that was actually a really good one last night. I gave you credit on that one. I think Sony should use it for sure. But yeah, Fuzzy, Mav, it was great to talk to you guys. Again, the 3-man show, we rocked it out tonight. Chat, you guys are absolutely incredible. Again, I'm starting to feel that excitement build up that we always get this time of the year, even with the clouds hanging over Xbox. When is it just going to die? It's not going to die.
Storm season outside.
Ever. Shit. Come here for all the sunshine, folks, because we are hyped like little kids every single year. And this year it is even more so. I don't care what the hell they do with their games. We're going to see so many freaking games. It's showcase season, everybody. It's Christmas time for gamers. Let's go. It's getting pumped up. So thank you all for being here. Nothing but love and respect again for giving us your time, whether you're here for 5 minutes or the entire show, all the same. Whether you lurk or you're actually joining in the chat, all the same. Nothing but love and respect. Thank you all. You guys know how to find me. Pong Soul on the X, formerly known as Twitter. Pong Soul on Xbox. Pong Soul on Steam. Pong Soul on GOG. Pong Soul on Epic Game Store. Wherever. Find me. And then tomorrow morning, set the alarms. It's going to be a short night. All right. 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 o'clock Central Time. Tomorrow morning, living split screen with my brother from another, Steel Rain and I. We go live 3-4+ hours. We will be there from the morning till the afternoon. Tune in to us. We're going to have big opinions, big talks tomorrow. The hype train gets started, Mach 2.0. So jump on board, splitters. A lot of you are already splitters. Come on by. Get ready. And then, of course, tomorrow night, PTK Blam's Handle the Shop podcast minus Fuzzy Belvedere. That's going to be a little bit weird. It's been a minute since we haven't had Fuzz on, but we'll get it done. Me and PTK, and I'm sure he'll put up the bat signal. We'll have some guests roll on through. It's the best way to end your Saturday night. 9 o'clock Eastern, 8 o'clock Central Time. Have us on in the background while you're gaming because, of course, Saturday night is gaming night. And then, of course, next week it starts all over again. Double Barrel Games, the channel. Boomstick is the man. Every Tuesday, a little extra special because it's the Xbox Factor podcast. All good things green, 12 p.m. Eastern, 11 o'clock Central Time. Be there for that. And then, of course, Thursday is when my podcasting week normally starts right here with this man, the Fun Speculation. That's right on this channel, 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 o'clock Central Time, p.m. in the p.m. leading up. God, we're getting close to showcase. We're going to get more conversation. I'm sure we'll have more rumors spreading next week. Who knows what else is going to happen. It's going to be fun, man. Join us there. Otherwise, it's the golden age of gaming, people. So everybody, please enjoy your weekend. Ignore the nonsense if you have to. Join in if you want to. But otherwise, just get the games playing and share those screenshots, vids out with the rest of the world. I want to see more and more of that. That's how we fight against the storm clouds brewing. We give them what they don't like to see, which is people having fun with games. Anyways, love you all. Play what you love what you play. Talk to y'all real soon. Mav, get us out of here, bro.
Yes, sir. Real quick, because I forgot to say this earlier. The blue one with a 5. The blue.
Yo, what? The blue, where you been, bro?
I know, man. He's there. I don't know if he's still here because this came in a while ago.
The blue.
I know.
Man.
He's my favorite. He's like my fellow Dallasite, right? And hit us with a 5 saying go Mavs, and I saw what happened. I ended up getting spoiled for me. But holy shit, it is glorious, and I can't wait to watch the whole thing back.
1 point.
Very important point.
It was very important.
It's a very important point. That's the difference between an 83 and an 84 on Meta.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
Luka hit a big shot too.
Yeah.
Anyways, choo-choo, motherfuckers.
Jack's 82 member for 4 months says the Series S has been redeemed.
Yes.
Yeah, like that potato putting out that's a hot potato right there, bro. You know, that's a hot fucking potato. Go get the best value in console hardware. Series S. Holy shit. Anyway.
Let's go.
Have a good one, everybody. Peace out. Good night.
Choo-choo. Choo-choo.